On today's episode of Let's Talk FGO, we will be talking about Apocrypha Rerun, and also Lostbelt 1 came out, and lots of other stuff came out, and then Babylonia ended, and something else got announced. What was it? If you don't already know, tune in to find out. Hi, I'm one of your hosts, Omega, and, well, there's a lot of things I could be right now, but mostly I'm bamboozled, but I'll tell you why in a second. And with me, as always, we have confirmed furry Lucky.
Hey, everyone, I hope you are all enjoying Fate, a Grand Order, aka We Can't Stay Here. This is Wolf Country. And while we here at Studio Manga like to bring you the latest in FGO-related news and memes, we will be talking about current and future events for both the JP and EM version of the game, so anyone not wanting spoilers should listen to Albert.
Yes, we'll talk about that more later if you don't get that joke, but you should, because you should have paid attention. So much paying attention you should have done. Alright, well, I'm sure if Lucky has a monster lying around, he wants to crack it, so let's go ahead and remind everybody that this episode is brought to you by our patrons like Ongo Comics, Blacklist OG, Qua, Jeremy Vasquez, Kylie Denton, Nestor Flores, Rogue Robin, Shawnee P, Soto Son of Vartuver, and Video Gamer 75. And if you like what we do and want to see us do more, you should consider supporting us on Patreon. You can get access to episodes early and lots of other goodies, and it really helps us out. Thank you for your support, everybody.
Thank you. Actually, I'm not sure if you guys heard it, but if you heard like this weird rolling sound, this was me rolling around my room. It's like, oh yeah, let me go get a monster real quick.
There was a strange sound, which may be a pause, but it'll probably get edited out. But in the live version, there was a slight pause between my two thoughts of doing the intro and saying what was going to be on the show.
Yeah. Well, because I moved, and my new fam is like, hey, you want a mini fridge? I was like, fuck yeah, I want a mini fridge. And like, boom, mini fridge. I'm like, yes. I don't know. This might be millennial in me, but having a mini fridge in your room is like the ultimate decadence to me.
Yeah, it's like, pretty good. Did I? I think at some point I had a mini... I'm now I don't, because when I moved into this house, because of my room placement, it's literally I open my door, I walk out, I like cross the space in front of the front door, and I'm in the kitchen. So there's really no point.
Yeah, I know.
But I have had one before, and my own microwave.
A microwave is still at the other house, which I could go pick up. But then I will be truly high speed, low drag. Then I'm gonna put in a little mini counter, and maybe get a toaster. Like, fuck, don't leave in my room. Fuck, leave in my room. If I have to use the bathroom, I'll just open the window.
What day? Hold on, I'm just thinking. What day is it on EXPs?
I do not know.
Is it fortunate? Is it a good day? Nah, it's a writer saver.
Actually, I'm gonna finish this battle, and I'm gonna go farm some embers. That doesn't take a lot of thought. Because let me tell you, we're gonna get into it more later. But Lucky was up for the freshest takes in the new Lostbelt, and I stayed up until like 3 a.m.
I didn't. I stayed up too late doing other stuff, so I only was able to log in, do the download, and spend my tickets, which my first batch of 18 tickets were nothing. Though, well, first, we should check in with everybody's favorite co-hive, and then we can move to talk about roles.
Senpai! 起きてください.
That's right, everybody. It's time for a real quick Wake the Fuck Up Senpai. It's pretty simple. Just, hey, if you're gonna do FP summons, don't forget to turn off auto burn if you want new CEs, because there's all new CEs in FP now, so... Okay, so at 8 p.m. it's going to roll over to casters. Well, I'll make sure to be up for that. Why should I be up for that, you ask? Well, there's no real reason not to just jump into Records from the Throne. So, let's just do it. Hey, for me, so I call this my super cursed rolls. Now, you'll understand why, as presumably you have played FGO for a while and you've been rolling, audience. So, I did get an Anastasia, and I got a single copy of a Vikabron. Don't ask me how that worked out. And I got 1 3-star CE. Those are the only new things I got on this banner so far, and that's after 18 tickets in the middle of night last night, and after 4 10 rolls.
Oh, jeez.
That's it. Like, I got a couple of extra CE copies. Like, I got my 3rd Victor from the Moon, so that's not bad. It's just not on rate up, so it was weird. I got a lot. Hey, shout out to the secret record holder rate up. My record holder 4-star CE is now max limit break. Thanks, Shinji. But yeah, I got so much, I don't want to call it 3-star garbage, but so much 3-star chaff, just so many extra 3 stars, and it was crazy. Like, honestly, Anastasia came at a really good time, because I was starting to get depressed and be like, well, I should stop rolling, and then I got a Silvercaster Spark to Gold, and I'm like, well, I got something, I'll give it one more spin to see if something happens, and then just a VK Braun came, and I'm like, okay, we'll stop today. I have 100 quartz now, we're stopping, we're done with this. I'll say for the next big banner, I guess I'll spend real quartz on Chiron and Achilles? Maybe? I don't know. I'll have to see what happens.
I don't know. So, Lucky kind of had the opposite of what Omega did. So I only spent 60 quartz and a single ticket because honestly I didn't have that much, and I did want an angry cat, but I wasn't sure how I was feeling on Anastasia. I haven't really seen her in story much. But I spent 60 quartz, and I did. I actually got MP2 Angry Cat. I got 2 cats in one roll. I was super pleased about that. As usual, Lucky was all like, I'm feeling lucky! And so I went for another, and I got a single copy of Vikabron, and I was just like, no, here. This is where we stay. Because as I said, once, who knows, because I checked, the first banner goes, what was it, like April 7th or something?
Yeah.
It goes for a minute.
Somewhere. Goes until the 9th.
9th.
I wrote it down.
Oh, excuse me. Carbonation. So I was like, that's gonna be plenty of time for me to get through the story, and I'm gonna see if I get fucking Hokusai again. If you all don't know or don't remember, Lucky wasn't that taken with Hokusai until he did Hokusai's trial quest. He was all like, oh no, I must have her. And then he spent way too much money again. But we will see. So there is that.
And no real no like evil stuff so far for either of us. We both did okay on the banner. Just
yeah. I mean, technically, I got what I want. I got more than what I wanted. I got like MP2 Angry Cat. That's
I got boned, but that's 4 stars.
Yeah.
It took me a long time and 2 SSRs before her to get Tomoe. So like I already accept the hell I am in.
This is what we like to
At
call
least Angry Cat is permanent. Maybe she'll, Fran took me like a year and a half, 2 years to get, so she'll show up eventually. This is not like my fucking, well, it might be like my fucking Arknight's luck getting Magellan in 110, but it's a thing. Anyway, no bad news. Let's check in really quick with, did you finish your master missions, because that's actually relevant. Because the first of those is do 30 friend point summons, which you want to do anyway because, like I said, all new 1 and 2 star CEs. And also, I don't think you can get a Vikabron yet, but you can get the 3-star CE, maybe? Not sure. Those might not be free until the actual banner ends. It's always a little confusing, because, like, event CEs and stuff will show up automatically, but, like, servants don't right away when a banner's going.
Don't they usually, like, get added, like, at the end once you complete
they're permanent once the banner is in.
Yeah.
Ends.
But, yeah.
Just do them, it's pretty easy. You need to defeat 8 servants, defeat 15 saber-class enemies, not servants or bosses, and do the same for rider and assassin-class enemies, and defeat 30 enemies. So, do the story. I'm pretty sure all of those classes show up as mobs. Assassin definitely does, and I'm reasonably sure Saber does. I don't know if... I don't know if Rider does. If they don't, you can catch them somewhere else. Like today, it's Saber Rider Day, so you could actually get pretty far in this. I gotta conserve my AP, though. I want to actually do the story. Spoilers for later. Omega's not very far. He has not had enough time to do that yet today. But yeah, that's all the master missions. We want to just jump into the news.
Yeah.
So first off, I called this Chaldea Broadcasting System recap, because there was a stream last night. It was a very good stream. Well, it wasn't a stream, it was a YouTube premiere, because it was mostly pre-recorded anyway, and so... I'm guessing originally they probably would have had, like, real Albert in America show up and, like, intro and outro it.
Yeah.
But, they didn't because of lockdown, so they just showed it on YouTube premiere.
It was still
Which
good,
is perfectly fine.
Yeah.
We do that all the time. So Albert was in Japan. He can teleport. Add that to his grand hamster powers. And so he basically went in studio. I'm guessing the actual studios where FGO does some of this stuff, in JP. But first he met with Nii-san, the Part 2 and FGO Global Coordinator, where he had several questions. They went back and forth. Albert's Japanese is pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Though, so was Nii-san's English at a couple of points.
Yeah.
Like, I've said that, I think we've said this before, that Japanese people generally, even though English is taught in their country, don't necessarily like to speak in English all the time for official stuff, to make sure that they capture all their nuance, because, man, Japanese really is a very nuanced language.
Mm-hmm.
But he actually had a little message for us in English. That was cool.
Mm-hmm.
And there was, if you have not watched this, do go back and actually watch this part, guys. It was only like 4 questions, but they were really, really good. So they talked about localization and language first, like, how do the writers and producers back in Japan think about, like, localizing? How do they handle that kind of stuff? And Albert had some discussion about, what feels right in English and whatnot. And the second was super interesting because they talked about logos and event title translation specifically. Because in case you guys don't know, the Aniplex licensing staff who publishes in America, that's literally just the localization team. That's literally just a couple of script translators and overseers and maybe some social media guys. All the nuts and bolts of our development, all the actual mechanical stuff and even the graphic design, that all happens in Japan still.
Mm-hmm.
So they talked about how do they change event titles and actually how do they move the graphics around so they fit the same scale. They talked about Shimosa, which in Japanese is a lot more compact character-wise, so it was able to fit into one line. They had to make it 2 lines for us. But their graphic designer was able to achieve the same effect because he, studied calligraphy and actually did the brushstroke style of the English letters. They talk about Summer Part 2, Death Jail Escape, which was basically the exact same in both versions because they were both 2 lines and had the same kind of font face, and it kind of worked out. And then, funnily enough, they talked about Merry Christmas from the Underworld, which was also mostly the same, but it was kind of broken up into multiple lines. But Kano said that apparently the Japanese team actually thought that Merry Christmas had more impact when it was written in English, which was kind of funny. They thought that might have flowed better.
Well, that's actually one of those interesting things about Japan. Especially with calligraphy, they actually put a lot of emphasis on how things are written and how they feel when written.
Mm-hmm.
It's they
and
still have
I could totally see it being an English loanword, Merry Christmas. Why it would be, more appealing and more natural to just be, should this just be written in English? So question 3 was about him working on FGO and joining partway in because he signed up with the FGO team when Part 2 started. And he said that the first thing he implemented was the back button. And stuff like that. They talked a lot about, when they do animation updates, when they do quality of life updates early. They talk about how they like to do that, but also it can be hard because it's not just, plug and play, right?
Mm-hmm.
Also totally setting up something that happened later. Though he also talked about how he talks with the Japanese fan base a lot, who are like, hey, when will this chapter come out? When will such and such as animation update be done? Et cetera, and he and some of the team over there kind of use that to balance out when they want to do stuff. And Albert encouraged him strongly to come to America more and hang out and talk to the American fan base. Hopefully that is possible in the future. Damn you, Corona.
Corona!
And then question 4 was advice for new players for Lostbelt. So kind of talking about hey, make sure to, they're concerned, they're always super concerned about event spoilers and stuff, and that's why they have to be careful about event requirements, so make sure to keep up with your releases. Kind of we warned everybody, I think, last week with you, hey, Lost Belts are coming, that means you're probably going to need to make sure you're keeping up with the story so you can do events kind of thing. This is where Albert did the quote earlier we mentioned. He turned to the screen, he pointed, and he said, don't spoil things.
Detective David, this GIF is great, I'm saving this.
Which one? Oh, the scary Corona one?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. It's very lovingly animated. But they also kind of talked about how, Nii-san thinks that he said the infamous line that he wants the experiences across both versions to be similar, about the same level.
Yeah.
And, that is a direct quote about he wants them to have this, the quote-unquote authentic JP experience people sometimes allude to. But even then he said that, but we still snuck in some animation updates and some quality of life and stuff early, because that's better. I think, I don't remember exactly what he said, but I think his intent was basically that's kind of the same thing, right? We updated them when we updated them in Japan, so we're just giving you this stuff because we're not assholes, right? Basically.
Yeah.
We want you to have a better experience. JP right now is having a better experience, so we want to push that ahead. And that was basically the end of his segment. They did the whole question answer. Then Minami Tanaka, voice of Nidocris, came in with big energy. Big Nito, Sky Nito energy.
It was great.
They talked about anime stuff, because in case you didn't know, apparently she is an official Fate Grand Order anime ambassador. So they talked about, Babylonia come out and the simulcast and stuff. Talked about the upcoming Camelot movies. They did not talk about the other thing we're going to mention later, because that wasn't announced yet.
Nope.
And this was obviously recorded way in the past. Albert traveled to Japan and was within 6 feet of several people there and came back. So this was a while ago, even though they talked about it tomorrow, because they obviously scheduled it way in advance. And kind of talked about her thoughts with like part 1 and stuff. The adorable bit they asked her about what can she talk about part 2 in like 3 words.
Mm-hmm.
It was the best. It was painful, cold. It's cold. And then finally,
save.
Yeah, but the grammatical formation of the verb is I want to save, basically, like the active form of saving. So, and specifically again, tasukete, like the verb for, save me please kind of save, not save your money.
Yeah,
which I thought that was a really adorable way for them to talk about the chapter without spoiling the chapter.
The best part was the little drawings that she did in the corner, though.
She had a little snowman, she had a little Medjed, and she had a little Nito.
Mm-hmm.
And then, basically after that, they both came back for the actual news bit. All the expected stuff happened. If you don't remember what that was, or didn't see the announcement, go back to last week's episode. We basically outlined all of it. And then a whole shitload of animation updates. Like, he did the classic move. He did the, wait, I have just one more thing. And then it was just, boom, animation updates. Who was involved? It was 6 people?
It was 6.
It was Kiyohime, which, by the way, that's supposed to be New Year's this year.
We also had Martha.
Which is Christmas. Fuma, which is Summer 4, same as Merlin. That's like a super early one.
Oh, Jinkei,
that was supposed to be Lostbelt 3. That's 4 I've counted. Medea Lily, that was anniversary this year, I think. Or maybe next year, I don't know.
I feel like there's one more.
There were 6. I'm just trying to remember. Who was it?
Was it an SSR?
Medea Lily. I think it was an SR.
Because I feel like when...
No, Martha's an SR, that's right. So it's...
Any of you guys in chat remember?
Yeah, hey, chat. There's a bunch of your brains.
I feel like I'm... Dantes,
yes. That's right. It was an SSR. Yeah, Dantes really. That's supposed to be summer this year.
I knew it was an SSR.
So, yeah. Real neat. Really cool. So that... And like I said... He totally did a very Japanese thing for the whole, double play here. Is like... Because that Japanese is a very humble culture and a very humble language where you're supposed to, listen, it's very hard. It was very difficult. It's please be patient with us. Please understand we're working on it. And then he was like, but actually we did it. We did a lot of it here. So that was pretty swag. Pretty cool extra thing to throw in.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are wondering what other bits will get early. I think there are some, I think Cat was also New Year's later with Kiyohime, so they might move that one up to something.
Yeah.
Spartacus might get his pushed up to the Apoc rerun. Mordred probably won't get hers early because that's the Apoc rerun anyway, so there's no reason to do it early,
Well, Mordred's also getting a costume, so they might as well just keep it bundled together.
Well, no, that's not until the rerun.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. Like, they'll save...
No, but her animation update is the initial run of Apoc.
Oh, it is? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
It's already coming next month anyway.
Oh, okay.
Or a couple months, however the timing works out. I'm not sure, because the thing is, we have to get all of the pre-anniversary stuff done a month early because of where our anniversary lies. So, expect stuff to be very fast-paced. Like, I know a couple of people after Saber Wars' slog were like, "Oh, is Lostbelt? I hope it's not going to Nope. Literally, they're like, "Okay, tomorrow the stream will end. We'll have maintenance, and then there will be Lostbelt 1." So it's here right now. It actually came out early this morning as of the time we're recording this. But yeah, that was really cool. And then he was like, and then I have one more thing. And was like 10 Saint Courts. Plus the 3 we got for the social media campaign. So 13 quarter. Blah. Total. Numbers.
Words
and deeds. And then so the Anastasia campaign is running, we mentioned before, 3/27 to 4/9. I figured I'd just leave the dates there so people can know. And then, so this was announced in a stream last week. That was on like Sunday or something. So it was a couple days after we recorded, but the Apoc rerun is happening. That's from 3/25 to 4/8. So it's a rerun. Sieg gets boosted XP, and if you've already got him, you get rare prisms. The bonus servants haven't changed at all, except now Saber Astolfo counts. Go figure. This was a pretty big one. So Jack got an animation update. It's pretty sick.
Oh, yeah.
I know a lot of people have been asking for that one. Lucky already mentioned this. Mordred gets her casual costume.
Mm-hmm.
And then they got a bunch of quality of life updates, including refreshed filter options, which includes the ability to filter by NP type and by card color. So you can filter like Buster AoE, Buster single target, support, that kind of stuff. The icon size adjustments option is available in more places. and you can access volume sliders anywhere now when you do in battle menu options.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah. Hopefully we get some of this stuff early. I know we've already gotten some of this stuff early. We also got a batch of strengthenings, so Mordred's Instinct now buffs her Buster Star Absorption and gives her 30 to 50% crit strength on top of slightly more stars. Not what I necessarily wanted from Mordred, but it's, because it's very samey with what they've been doing with a lot of these buffs, but it's still good, so I'm okay with it.
Well, I mean, it gives her Buster crit ability, which
True,
nice.
It does make her more offensive. I was thinking that they would do something maybe more akin to what Gramps did and, give her... Because this is a thing I talked about elsewhere. It's kind of funny how they built her. Mordred actually has a very full skill kit, being a saber and a central character. And they decided to keep her instinct, despite the fact that maybe by London they didn't know, but despite the fact that instinct is not necessarily a super great skill in game. Because she has battle continuation like B or A and charisma C in lore. So it's just kind of funny that she totally has a full skill kit, but they decided to sub in one of her NPs and then kept instinct. The name of the skill is something like Cigarette Lion, so it's obviously a reference to everybody's favorite Go Lion.
Yep.
But yeah, so that's cool. Apparently she does pretty big damage with that.
Yeah, I believe it.
Vlad Zerker now gets double guts on his battle continuation. No. He gets 2 guts, and NP gen is increased for 3 turns. That's good because he's an Art Berserker. I mean, the first guts is only 1 turn, but still, stackable guts is rare and can be pretty potent.
Well, listen, Berserkers with guts is always a scary thing.
Yeah. And then Amakusa's Revelation is now targetable and also increases NP gain. So now he doesn't just stick the buff on him, you can stick it on somebody else and also increase their NP gain if you need to. And the summon banner is the expected clusterfuck of rotation of every possible Apocrypha SSR, including Saber Astalfo, with all the other Apocrypha characters who are not SSR on always rate up. So Atalante, Atalante Alter, Chiron, etc.
Oh, they actually got Semiramis in here?
Yep, Semiramis is getting a rate up again, and so is Saber Astalfo, which is
because if I
kind of
remember correctly, we didn't have a Semiramis rate up during the first Apocrypha, did we?
She was in the pre-campaign.
Okay,
because they did it in 2 parts. They did the pre-campaign for all the old servants, and then they did the actual campaign banner for some of the new stuff, like Achilles and Chiron. In this one, they've kind of kit-bashed them together, and it's just fucking free-for-all. Well, it's a daily rotation, so it's not quite a free-for-all, but it's bad. Let me show you how packed this banner image is.
Let me see.
It's because there's hey, guess what? There's a lot of frickin' Apocrypha servants.
I mean, it's literally two Holy Grail Wolves, Rip. That's 14 plus 2 rulers, 16. Yeah, it should be 16 characters. Then you subtract the bronzes and silver.
So I don't think it's a lot of people are saying Jeanne feels very sadly snubbed by this event because she did not get a costume, she did not get any strengthenings or anything, and she's not on the banner.
Well, I don't know. John's a day 1 servant, honestly.
Yes, and also she has her own story event too. Like anything that's when they do rotating rate ups for part 1, Singularity's campaigns, she's always the face of Orleans and stuff.
Yeah, let me see here. Yeah, I think Vlad is the only SSR on that band that has been here since day 1.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so there's your whole big collection. It's a lot of them. I guess technically they didn't tuck Summer Fran in there, but that would have been a little weird. They could have though.
Yeah, they should have.
Maybe.
Well, no,
they are slipping Summers into random rate ups. They could have done that.
Yeah, as I said, because as we said, summer reruns are literally the rarest of the rares. You get 1 chance when they come out, you get a 2nd chance when they rerun, and then who knows?
Oh, so Summer 1 got a 3rd chance on 2 separate million downloads banners, but yeah, it's basically whenever they decide to cram that shit in there.
Yeah, so this would have been one of those moments to cram that shit in there.
On the other hand, there's a lot of fucking SRs, so I don't know. Hopefully they do come up with an excuse to do a Saber Friend banner, but also at the same time, it's a Pacto one. Also, this was mentioned on stream, but I didn't put it in my notes anywhere, but they have previewed, what's up?
No, I know what you're about to talk about, and I have feelings.
Well, I'm going to talk about, it's probably coming with Atlantis, but, they have announced, Setheno and Urale animation updates.
Oh, they did? Okay, that wasn't what I was thinking about. Damn it.
No, that's not in the news because actually, was that on the stream?
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't seen it. That's the thing. I didn't watch the stream, and I don't know anything because it's not like a news bit. So external stuff like that is just like, oh, it happened, I guess. Though we'll talk about when we talk about Babylonia later because it's all over now. There's some very telling stuff in the post credits of that matters. But yeah, so they announced that Stheno and Urali are getting new animation updates. That's pretty cool. Sthenos is very, very sparkly. And as established, Urali does shoot you right in the dick.
Doop-a-doop.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's another thing I should mention.
Yep.
That's because it's not an official news item yet. They did probably because they're going to be their Anime Japan like panel announcements. They did a lot of announcements.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing that's an actual event is there's an Atlantis clear campaign, which is if you clear Atlantis Lostbelt 5 in this time, which is the 22nd to the 30th of next month, you get 10 Saint Courts, and I'm assuming it's for a shorter period, but I didn't see the actual note on the time, but it's quarter AP for Part 1 and Lost Belts 1 through 3, half AP on Lost Belts 4 and 5, half AP on all Lost Belt free quests, because Lost Belt 5.5, the next part of it, is expected to land in April. But the couple of extra things they did, which Lucky has very conveniently reminded me about. Sorry, I had to write Teacher Omega-Sensei earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Very busy with big brain thoughts. But first off, they announced what the collab's going to be.
This is what Lucky sighed about earlier.
And shocking literally everyone, it's Fate Requiem. So we should probably do a high level what the fuck is Fate Requiem, because guess what? It's a light novel series that only started publishing like
a year and a half ago, I believe.
Yeah, December 31st, 2018, so like literally the end of 2018. There's only like 2 volumes out, I think.
Yeah.
So it's very fucking new. And also, it's unfortunately in light novel form, which I'm pretty sure still literally none of those are published officially in America.
Yeah.
Which is a huge shame. For the love of God, somebody, Delightworks, Aniplex, Nasu himself, take some of your fat FGO stacks and just buy a fucking American publisher. I don't care. Just, please, for me, for us, start translating some of these light novels, please. You're killing me.
Impress, 7 Seas, you listening to this shit?
Because, okay, Case Files, it's gonna work out because...
Well, Case Files was done by the time of the collab. We just don't have it over here, I think.
Right, but when it comes out officially in America, the anime will have already come out, was what I was getting at. Because the anime aired in summer? Fall?
Yeah.
Something like
summer.
that. It aired that year, the same year as the collab. That's why they did it.
Yeah.
To promote the fact that the anime was coming out. So people will be passingly familiar with Case Files in America because that anime will have come out.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, you really don't need much more than knowing what Case Files is and who the characters are, I don't think. It's not a direct plot reference, unlike, say, something like Fate Zero.
Mm-hmm.
I expect that's probably what they're going to do with Requiem, because there's only like 2 volumes out, but damn. So, I did a little bit of reading. Here's the super ultra high level elevator pitch of Fate Requiem. So, in the past, there was a big war thing. It was a Holy Grail war. They don't call it that, but we know it is. And now every human being has a Holy Grail inside them, which means that they are immortal and free from disease and stuff, and each one of them can indefinitely support a servant. So, literally every human who is alive has a servant.
This sounds like, actually, now I think about it, that sounds like some third magic shit.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. Is this some kind of like, is the fork going to be that maybe Amakusa didn't get it quite right, but something still happened?
Yeah.
Like he accidentally gave the Holy Grail to everybody? We'll see. We'll see if they get there, because they're not very far in the story, obviously. But the exception to this is the main character, whose name escapes me right now. But she doesn't have a servant, but then she does at the end. She or not at the end, but at the beginning, she bumps into this kid who can't remember his name. He's just called Voyager. And they have adventures. Because it's kind of, as usual, the Earth is maybe kind of sort of dying and the sea levels are rising and shit, so people live in, like, bubble cities. Filled with servants. And there's a Holy Grail World Tournament. And there's all kinds of stuff. And they've revealed a couple of characters, so, barring that, like, we get the main character as maybe a welfare or something, who knows.
I said, there's 2 that I've seen that I'm kind of interested in, but I don't know if they'll do one of them. Because,
yeah, well, it's not. I don't think it's a spoiler. He was in the promo. There's Galahad Alter appears.
Yeah.
And he's a servant of one of the main character's friends.
I believe it's a saber.
Yeah, I don't know. He's a saber or a lancer or something. I don't remember though.
Yeah.
And speaking of lancers though, our main character's grandmother, who, because of the Holy Grail powers, chooses to look like she's in her teens or something. But her servant is Saint Longinus.
Yep.
And also, her grandmother is weird because she actually has command seals, and nobody else does, apparently, which is interesting. I'm wondering if that means she maybe was in and won the original war. We'll see. So it's a super interesting concept, but like we said, it's really, really new.
Yeah, like I've been like in my quick browsing, no one seems particularly, I want to say, upset about it, but everyone's kind of flabbergasted.
It's just like not Tsukihime because they're working on supposedly the remake is being worked on. Now would be a really good time to do it. Not Prototype, whose servants have been data mined.
Mm-hmm.
Not Fate Stay Night or Heaven's Feel. Though we should mention that now the JP premiere of the movie, I believe, has been delayed because of COVID.
Yep.
But still, they're going to complete that movie series this year, and who knows? They'll probably do a campaign, if not a collab event, but still, right?
Not Extella with, our good boys,
there's 2 Extella games, which are, separate from... Heck, there hasn't been a core extra, either. There are some characters from extra they could repurpose we haven't seen. They're... And obviously not Strange Fake, because that's still ongoing, and the author Narita, his health's not so great, so he's kind of got slow pace and doesn't necessarily like the idea of, like, Fate Grand Order just ruining maybe some of the plot twists and stuff.
Yeah. And we also got, other, like, lesser-known or interesting Nasu-verse things, like,
Tsuki no Sango, Mahasuke no Yoru.
Fuck, Notes. That'd be crazy.
Yeah. Notes. A lot of people thought the Notes thing was going to be Lostbelt, but then they bamboozled us. Well, they bamboozled those people. I wasn't necessarily sure. But yeah, so there's a lot of Type Moon ancillary things, and they picked literally the newest one, and everybody was like, okay. So we'll have to see what fucking happens. It'll be a little bit, but they've announced it at least.
Yeah.
A lot of people are like, is it Moon Cancer Karen? Because there's Karen AIs. Actually, this is more of a free talk discussion, but so this actually came up. Lucky, you probably know Karen Hortensia from Prisma, the school nurse.
Yeah.
That's Kirei's daughter.
Yeah, she's well, I remember she's affiliated with the church, right?
Yes. She mainly shows up in Hollow Ataraxia. So
does she give like a shroud?
Yeah, she has she's the one who's she's on the CE for this. She has the Shroud of St. Magdalene.
Yeah, that's what it was.
But so here's the thing: there is an official timeline for this universe. We know these things. Kirei's wife died about 1991 when he got his command seals for the Holy Grail War, which was in 1994.
Okay.
Holy Grail War 4. That means Holy Grail War 5 takes place in around 2004.
As usual.
He was married to his wife for like 2 years, I think, before she died. Okay. So his daughter must have been born sometime in between 1989 and 1991.
Okay.
This means that in Hollow Ataraxia, she's probably 16. She's about Sakura's age. Mm-hmm. But then in Prisma, even though Rin and Shiro are still in high school, she's the school nurse. What the fuck? How? How did this happen?
Well, in anime, fucking teenagers being teachers or, staff members is not.
It's possible she could just be hypercompetent, but just like we had this brain fart in spoiler chat because we were talking about the AI Karen. One of our community members was like, "Okay, is she for lewds or for head pats?" And I'm like,
hang on.
One, she's a computer in Requiem, but also Requiem I think is set in 2025, so it's fine. That's way later. Like, all of our FSN characters are 20 somethings now in FGO time when they're not busy being incinerated or frozen in ice. Thanks, FGO.
So now we've had them burn. Now we've had them frozen. I guess the next world just ending. Will we have them dissolved in acid? I don't fucking know.
Are there any poems about it? Fire and ice and all that.
I guess that's true.
Could we get a flood? Can we just flood this bitch? Nah, that didn't work the first time. Well, yeah, but that's because she got reset. And I think she'd be like 10, because it's 10 years. So she got the thing about Prisma is that Ilya basically got reset to be a baby again after Holy Grail War 4, because Kiritsuka was like, nope. Fuck this shit. Smartest that man's ever been.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's it is a little confusing. The Prisma author did make sure to put in an insert of like, hey, this is a spin-off story. It's not necessarily going to line up with canon. Don't be mad at me. But still, I'm like, all right.
But I wanted to fit.
You maybe tried a little bit too hard, though, because, I don't know, maybe he didn't realize that Karen is supposed to be so young.
Yeah, who knows?
Because she joins the Shiro harem at the end of Hollow Ataraxia. But that's because he looks like Avenger. Because she really wants to bone Angramania. Honestly, I would be kind of happy maybe if a Karen or Karen face showed up, because she's just like her dad, which is great. Well, most people know this if you've seen her in Prisma.
Yeah, but that also means if we get a Karen, I want a Bazette though.
We do really need a Bazette, please. Come on, guys. She's technically a Fate Stay Nightmaster.
Technically,
we've got at least a Bazette face, right? Like, we've got Seminole, Rin, and Sakura faces. We have run into Jason, who is basically a Shinji face. Medea and Kojiro summonable. At least Bazette has CEs.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's a big stunner that everybody was like, what? The Requiem thing. And we'll just have to see what happens. Like I said, I expect it'll probably be like the Case Files collab was, where it'll just be the characters and themes and not necessarily tie into the plot.
Yeah.
Because arguably that's how CCC was, right? Like, it was using the characters and themes of CCC, but was not necessarily a one-to-one. Because it was actually all about the FGO plot, interestingly enough.
Yeah, well, that's why we consider CCC a canon, canon entry.
Yep, same with Tokugawa Labyrinth.
And it also used the themes of CCC, I'll say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's the spirit, if not the letter.
Mm-hmm. But alright, so I think that's all the news, except the anime-related one, but we might as well wait until we're talking about Babylonia to talk about that.
Yeah.
Alright, I think we're at just about 40 minutes. We'll take a quick intermission and be right back to move into Free Talk.
Right.
Alright, so we're going to talk about Free Talk. And you're probably going to... Well, I don't actually know, but you're probably going to talk more about than me on this, because this is going to be Lostbelt 1 First Impressions. Because like I said, I stayed up way too late doing other stuff, and it's already pretty... When 4-hour maintenance ends, it's already pretty late for me anyway. I was just able to log in and do some stuff. So, I'm not super far in Lostbelt 1, kids. I just did I don't know, what would you call it? I guess the pre-story scene. When you tap the chapter, it immediately throws you into a cutscene.
Mm-hmm.
And, hey, no, not even really spoilers, but this is going to be thematic. This is going to occur a lot. You're going to follow this kind of weird setup thread throughout Lostbelts.
Damn, Kids Like the Robots really love Suyu. Holy shit.
Yes, correct.
I'm gonna retweet this. Wait, that's the studio account?
Yeah, be careful. You caught it. Not that we would shock anybody by retweeting CSR from our business account, as it were.
No, probably not. But
we try to be professional, though. But yeah, so the thing with David Blue Book, explaining that, in 90 days, Earth was destroyed, completely conquered. Though, theoretically, he's still apparently walking around riding a motorcycle on the wasteland that is Earth, so that's interesting.
From what I understand, basically when it happened, there was like a war or a battle.
Yes, well, we were busy, I guess incarcerated, technically, would probably be about the timeline.
Yeah.
The alien tree, the alien god they mentioned later, got out and took over the world in just a few days. Even America was completely destroyed.
4 days, they said.
And then he's like, listen, I don't even care that we are getting destroyed. I don't care that we're all going to die. I want to know why. How did this happen? What's going on here? Like, if I can understand those, I'll be at peace. And so he journeys off into the wasteland and digs up a document from 2018, mind you. Which is very important because I'm pretty sure that canonically, because of when Part 2 was, that would be, basically during the Epic of Remnant time, right? When that actually, or not even. That would be the end of Solomon, I guess. The end of Part 1. Sorry, it gets a little bit confusing because of the fact that we're in the future from JP time. Because they moved up the dates to make sense for us. But basically, like, he found an old record that is obviously in the past where some weird alien shit crash landed in America, and we took it in, and some guy was going to do surgery to help it. Because we're going to greet our new alien friends, I guess.
I am like 99% sure this is the fucking alien priest that they found.
It's something related to the alien deity and the tree of fantasy or the alien priestess or something.
Yeah.
We'll find out more later, but yeah, it's definitely like a... Alright. Okay.
What?
Great plan. Great. Good idea. Perfect.
Yeah. Sure.
And that's before you can do anything. You literally click on it and that's the first cutscene. And then
Well,
I did
mean,
the
like,
first
you say
part.
great plan, but like, what else are you gonna do? Is just like die, alien.
I mean, yeah, welcome to Earth, punch. Don't be Brent Spiner in Independence Day. Be Will Smith. But yeah, so that's the opening cutscene, the setup. This will be a thread that continues through Lostbelts, kind of explaining the stuff that happened while we were confused, locked down, or dead. Well, there's a lot of people typing stuff in Discord. I'm just clearing out my... Yes, correct. Somebody will screen cap that. But then I did also the actual first part, which is the prologue, the extra prologue, the double prologue. Which I gotta say, God, this scene's great. I immediately want like Lostbelt animation, like an OVA or something. Like, we should have mentioned this earlier when talking about the update. But we have all new UI and music and stuff.
Yep.
so
We are no longer looking at Shiba and Chaldeas.
Yes, we have the Paper Moon out. We've got brand new background like backgrounds. We got a brand new title screen, new main menu music.
Shop screen has changed. Now we have DaVinci-chan in there.
Yeah,
new
we have
My
DaVinci
Room.
Small, with 2 new different screens for her different shops, which is
Mhm.
interesting. Enhance has a different screen than Shop and stuff. Her dialogue is all slightly different too.
From what I can tell, she says mostly the same thing. She just says it in her new speech pattern. 'Cause
Yeah,
DaVinci-
basically.
DaVinci does speak. DaVinci-chan does speak differently than DaVinci does.
It's a slight difference, but I appreciate the effort, you know,
Yeah.
because they had to
Thank
get
you,
Maya
Sakamoto.
Sakamoto down there to actually do that dialogue. And so what we hear when we start this prologue scene is the Cryptors have their own leitmotif, and it's great.
Well,
Holy shit.
here's another thing. They really went all out on the art assets in this.
Yes, this scene is great. It's got like an overhead shot. It's got a low angle shot. They do with these cut-ins. They're all appearing via hologram. So as they leave the conversation, there's a little rump noise, and their lights go out in the actual backdrop.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of production value went into this. It's great. The dialogue is amazing, and we'll kind of talk about some of the info we get in there in a second. But I just want to say, like I said, it immediately made me like, fuck, I want to see this animated, because the dialogue is already really good, the music's really good, the tone, but just imagine this scene with, like, vocal intonation and body language. Like, you already get a great grasp of these people's personalities from how they speak, but just imagine if, like, you could see, like, Pepe or Barrel's body language in this.
Oh, I'm just thinking about how Odaime was the only living person there, and he would just be sitting like a king.
Right, he'd
At
just be
the
sitting
head.
with the holograms, possibly with the alien priest just chilling in the background, because at the end of the cutscene, she's there for no goddamn reason. Fucking voyeur. And then at the end, also, when he summons Canis, and just she appears in a flash of fire. By the way, I kind of appreciate that at least they kind of question that, right? Like, that's actually in the pronouns.
Yeah. I can't. Ophelia.
Ophelia
like
catches
he?
it, and she's like, he or she. Whereas
Odaime is just like he all the time.
Because that is the interesting thing about Canis having her gender flipped in real mythology. But also in real mythology, there were multiple attestations of Canis going back to being a woman in the underworld. So as a heroic spirit, it makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting to see their relationship, because Canis doesn't like Wodaime at all. Like, she's real mad. She is real mad that Wodaime beat them.
Apparently, like, here's the interesting thing. Odaime actually fought Canis and it's from it sounds like beat her into submission.
Yes. Actually defeated her and at least 2 other divine spirits, which are his servants.
Mm-hmm.
Which is really interesting. Well, because this is actually a really super important scene that lots of people have known the rough details of for a couple of years, because Clairvoyance EX. Really glad to actually get to read this in its original form, though. Because this really explains a lot of shit. This formally explains what the Lostbelts are doing. Basically, they're trying to feed the Tree of Fantasy. They're going to replace the current human order with a new one where the gods and man can coexist. More on this later, actually. No, seriously, that's what today's Teach Omega-Sensei is. So we're actually going to get into what the fuck they're talking about there. But they also explain that the mechanics, they've each picked a Lostbelt, they've got their own summoned servants, there's a king in each Lostbelt who they need to keep supplied, and they're going to grow their Lostbelts, and when their Lostbelts clash, the stronger one will win, and ultimately that will be the one picked as the new future for humanity.
Mhm.
And it's very obviously stated that, like, Wodaime has completely stacked the deck. Like, he is absolutely 100% be sure to win. They claim that his Lostbelt is better than actual pan-human history. He has multiple divine spirits on his side. The alien god clearly favors him in some way. And he's just a really cool guy, I guess, is what they're going for.
Well, basically, he is the epitome of magecraft. Like, he's a strong mage, he has lots of connection, he seems to be of interesting character, and he has the strength to back it all up.
Right, yeah.
So,
He is like running into major mage characters in like a case files or something, right? You know, so he's a big deal. And all of our different Lostbelt commanders, all the different cryptors. Well, first of all, I gotta say this. As much as this is basically, meanwhile, at the Legion of Doom, literally that's what the scene is. They have a big fucking table and everything. It's great. I love it.
It lights up.
Yeah. Well, they're holograms. Yeah, and it lights up with the purple effect, too. But, first off, you actually feel these people's relationships. It's great. Ophelia's like number 2. She is very respectful to Wodaime and apparently has started calling him Lord, which I'm assuming is the... Well, actually, I don't know. It could be Sama or Dono. You never know.
I feel Sama.
But yeah, apparently that's not how she used to refer to him, as Beryl calls her out.
Beryl is Beryl's on my shit list.
Beryl's a fuckboy. We knew that already, but no, he is a dickbag. Why they put up with him, we never know. But you can tell he is that one scumbag friend. Everybody's kind of like, whatever. He's in the group, you know, kind of thing, right? Like nobody really likes him, but they tolerate him for some reason. But you really do get the sense that all these relationships, Wodaime is the leader, like he's the cool cat in charge, playing it cool. And he even says, listen, just because the plan is for me to win doesn't mean that we're not doing this, right? We're not enemies. We are, competing. That's all. Which is kind of, you know, it's kind of interesting to see villains basically be cool to each other. Because I appreciate this because it gives us mixed feelings, right? Beryl is an asshole. So is Daybit. They both talk about how they love the fact that their Lostbelts are so primitive they can just kill and steal. Yeah. Like, they're just out there literally murking people for no goddamn reason. Right? Like, so you can tell they're not good people, but they are... Our other antagonists are more open, right?
Human. Like, Wodaime, you don't really know if you consider him evil or not. You just know he is the leader type. He is the one in charge.
He clearly has a vision, which... You could argue from what it sounds like at the end when he's monologuing to himself like a true villain does. That's how you know he's really the antagonist. But he talks about how he has a grand plan, right? Like he wants to correct human history and make it so that humans and the gods can coexist once again and magic is perfected.
Well, I guess they said they're saying his Lostbelt is actually better than
for reasons we will get into when we get there 5 Lostbelts from now.
Yeah.
But
Ophelia is, I don't want to say subservient.
She clearly respects Wodaime and his direction, but that's why I called her number 2, because she's not afraid to call the others out on their shit. Mm-hmm. Like, she literally tells Beryl, hey, dude, stop treating this like a game. It's fucking for reals. And Beryl is like, dude, I died once. You don't think I'm being for fucking serious right now? And he puts on his serious face, which is very scary.
Yeah, that was an interesting line. They all consider that they died. I was like, huh.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they said, like, what was it, did they say that? Oh yeah, they said the foreign god basically revived them. It was just
right. It resuscitated them once, but they don't get another free pass. Mm-hmm. We get to meet. What's the actual spelling of her name? Is it Akuta?
Was it
Hinako Akuta?
I think it's Hinako Akuta. Hang on.
Yes. You can double check, but. She immediately projects that bookish image that Da Vinci and etc. brought up because she's like, yeah, I'm not playing, guys. Just don't count me out. I have no interest in expanding my Lostbelt, and I have no interest in fighting any of you. I'm just gonna stick here until it's done. And, the others are like, "Are you sure? You don't want to at least try? You're free with just taking the lose." And she's like, "Yeah, whatever, dude." Lucky is checking. Oh, there's something I gotta retweet. There might be a couple of things I gotta retweet. All right, we're back. There was a ghosto, and we confirmed it was in fact that spelling. But yeah, so she's got that whole like whatever, dude, kind of thing.
Yeah, she seems like surprisingly, she seems very detached from all of this. She's like, I don't care whether I win or lose. I just want to go back. My king needs me or something.
Yeah, listen. I gotta go. I'm just gonna stick in my Lostbelt till it's over. I'll be completely satisfied with that. We'll find out more about her later.
Things, stuff, secrets.
David's weird, but they already talked about him being weird. He's like a true genius, so nobody really understands him. All we really find out about this is, one, he's perceptive, because one of Wojaime's servants predicted that we would be emerging after 90 days, 3 months. Ha ha ha. It's true, though. But he doesn't know where, and David is like, it'll be Russia. It's going to be Russia. That's the only servant they know. So they're going to emerge in Russia to find us. And that he also likes killing people. Other than that, we have literally no idea about him. We have lots of ideas about Beryl, but mostly that he's a fuckboy.
The thing that I think I hate most about Beryl is I'm pretty sure he doesn't refer to MASH as a human being.
He refers to MASH as a thing, yes.
As a thing. And apparently tried to do something that Roman had to stop.
Well, he tried to do something in the ICU while she was in medical care. I'm guessing since his Lostbelt's Camelot, he may have tried to provoke Galahad somehow.
Maybe.
Like, maybe, because he likes killing, maybe he wants a fight, or it could have been gross, you don't know. But Roman kicked his butt, so everything's fine. But he's an asshole. He literally called MASH a thing. And I hope to God his Lostbelt doesn't collapse before we can boop his snoot.
You say boop. If you mean boop by...
by boop, I mean I'm going to have Ket's meteor pile drive him into the planet's crust.
Yeah.
Suplex! We'll see how he likes that. We'll shoot some planets at him, see how he feels. But we get a lot of him. He's very chatty. Very chatty.
Well, I think he's one of those types that likes to talk and try to be disarming with his words, but then is just going to immediately walk up to you as he's chatting and stab you. Yes,
he's definitely the disarming type. And he's maybe trying to be nice to Kadok? It's hard to tell. Like, is he really being genuine? He says he's an only child, so he thinks of Kadok like a brother. Because when Pepe, Scandinavia Peppercino, who you do also get a decent read on, even though he doesn't talk super a lot. When he's like nice to Kadok, I believe him. I believe that he's that guy.
Yeah.
And you get the impression that like Ophelia doesn't even call out Peppercino because she's like, well, he's the weird one. It wouldn't matter if I said anything to him. He's fucking weird. And everybody just accepts it, so he's the weird guy.
He's great.
And he's got a weird cube in his Lostbelt that he probably should have destroyed, but isn't gonna, and it'll probably fuck him over in the future.
I like how they say, Budama's like, it's your biggest weakness, but for you, it's probably nothing. Leave it. And he's all like, okay.
Well, yeah, he's like, because I know your personality, I understand that you're not gonna, it's not necessarily gonna help you to do that, so just leave it. Don't poke it. You'll do something weird. They do also kind of hint that, I mean, she's got an eye covered, so it's probably no surprise for you if you think, hey, does Ophelia have like a mystic eye or some bullshit? Because Beryl also drops the, wow, looks really can kill if they're from you. So then like, oh yeah, they're totally telegraphing that she has eye beams or some shit. Yeah. With the eye patch and the looks could kill. And then we get Kadok, who I is pretty sure we're going to see a lot of later, but I didn't get any farther than this, so. But he's kind of an interesting place because he's clearly the low man on the totem pole in this organization.
Yes.
They talk about the dark circles under his eyes because he's constantly stressed. They did actually show us the PV for Anastasia during the stream with English subs, which is pretty cool. Which is narrated by him, where he talks about, like, he could have been the one to save the world and stuff.
Yeah, Kadok is suffering. You might get the sense of this in here, but as you play through the Anastasia chapter, you definitely get the feeling Kadok has a huge inferiority complex.
And that is probably because they mention this in the Legion of Doom scene. He is perfectly normal. Yep. He's basically like us, which is the parallel they're drawing. Kadok is exactly like us. He, in a different circumstance, he could have probably saved the world, right?
Yeah.
But
and
he didn't.
And that's actually a very, very big thorn in his side. So slight spoilers to say, but I can give you a little bit of insight into...
I mean, I know most of the plot beats already because I'm me, so go for it.
Okay. So basically, one of Kadok's whole things is he felt that all his life he wasn't given anything. He basically had to do everything. All his power he had to claw and gain from himself. And the one time he actually felt like he had a chance to do something, it was taken away. Taken away by some third-rate mage who just happened to fill in the last spot. And that nettles him. That nettles him a lot.
And of course it would, because, like, think about it. He's just, like, a perfectly normal dude. He got to be part of the A team. He was literally on Team A with the likes of these people. Like, he, maybe not a peer, but he was at least on the same team as Wodaime, who is kind of Big Dick Swinging in this department.
Mm-hmm. Like, all these A-class mages and nobles and people of influence and power of just, like... And Kadok is just this normal boy who basically came up from nothing, got there, and during his big break, just, nope.
Yes, because his thing, I believe, is that he has high master compatibility, is the thing.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, Wodaime is kind of the golden child. He's a great magus and also has great master compatibility, unlike Olga, who had no master compatibility whatsoever. But was presumably... I mean, in case files, she fucking blows up Vampire Tree with meteors, so I guess she's okay. That's pretty cool, I guess. But Kadok was he's a shitty mage, but he had high master compatibility, and he summoned a caster just like he wanted. Which they allude to also in the Legion of Doom scene, where they're like, hey, that's why, Wodaime sends Canis, because he's like, hey, keep an eye on that kid. Because it's entirely possible that he will follow the desires of his own servant over our plan, which would be bad, because that's not the direction that's supposed to go. As we can kind of tell by Wodaime's relationship with Canis. Yeah, you paused a lot there.
Sorry, I'm on Twitter. I'm finding spicy things.
Yeah, but yeah, so like, you kind of get the impression that it's really interesting. Like, we end up set up against him first just because of circumstances, but in the story, he's really billed as the starter villain, right? Like, he's not a serious magus. His servant was obviously strong enough to fight and destroy Chaldea herself, but also, you know, still, she's only one servant. She's not like a divine spirit or anything. So we get a lot of, like, he's a good warm-up, basically, right? And then future, we'll see a lot of things and see a lot of stuff and kind of... We'll probably discuss in full, because not everybody can play it right away, obviously, especially like we said. Actually, I don't know if that was on air, but all the gacha games are doing an event right now.
Yeah.
So obviously some people may not have it, because Lostbelt is permanent. Some people may not have had enough time to dive right in. So I don't think we'll go necessarily too farther. Mm-hmm. Lucky, do you have any more first impression thoughts having played farther than I did?
No, I'll leave it for right now.
You've actually done some battles. How are the battles so far, at least?
They're alright.
Yeah. Okay. Nothing too weird yet?
Mm-hmm.
Alright, I'll be sure to dive in after we're done recording. Though I do need to probably boot up, I want to say, Azure Lane and get started on that, assuming I can log in.
Oh, I guess that is something I talk about. Again, like, we're talking about, like, improved production value through, the opening. There's been improved production value all throughout this, with, like, effects, sounds, sprites. Like, it's good. It's some good stuff. Yep.
We're at a real production. And apparently there's a possible crash issue at a certain cutscene. They're not sure about that. We'll see if it hits up. I don't know if anybody here has had that problem. The blizzards sound like maybe they're like the sandstorms in Camelot, which also caused my previous phone to chug a little bit.
Choo-choo.
Particle effects, kids. They look good, but they're resource intense.
Yeah, they are.
Alright, so I think that's all our Lostbelt 1 stuff. Do we want to talk Babylonia first, or what did you teach me, Omega-Sensei?
Let's do Teach Me Omega-Sensei, so we can leave the final.
Alright. Well, it kind of works either way, because this dovetails into both. It can either work perfectly as a follow-up to our Lostbelt 1 impressions, or as a follow-up to Babylonia. But, let's do it. So, today's topic is, what is the Age of Gods, as voted by our patrons? So, thankfully this one should be shorter, but it's probably pretty important, so we're doing it. In the beginning, the Earth sucked. It was all molten rock and burning gas and stuff. It was bad. I don't know why, but I didn't write in my notes, but there was a note that somehow the genetic memory of how shitty primeval Earth was exists to all creatures, which is why we all have the same impression of hell, but that doesn't make any goddamn sense, Nasu, so whatever. We said that at the same time. Anyway, after it settled, life had happened and stuff. So, in the terms of the Nasu-verse, this first period of history is called the Age of Gods. In this period, the world was governed not by science as we know it, but by mystery, with a capital M. So there are a lot more phantasmal species, humans and gods are able to communicate, and magecraft is more akin to the true magic, basically doing whatever it felt like because that's just what magic does. So long as you could believe in something and you could conceptualize it happening, it could happen. If you're like,
Wizard did it!
No, dude, some weird witch could totally turn you into a pig. She can turn you into a pig. It's just what people believe. So generally, this is when all that quote-unquote impossible mythological stuff happened. Like, Hercules couldn't really punch a lion to death. Well, in the Age of Gods, he could. You know, like, all that bullshit was back then, because that was when just pure human conception and belief ran everything, rather than hard and fast rules of science. This is kind of an interesting take on our evolving understanding of the universe, whereas literally the universe changed with our understanding rather than the other way around.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, gods, who are the subject of this age, are divine entities that are formed by human thoughts when they have belief and worship, but are technically separate, as in not directly influenced by them. They fall into two broad categories: something, a natural force, place, object, whatever, that already existed and became worshipped, or an entity, human, animal, whatever, that was reborn as a deity. You can basically categorize all of these as this. Even the ones that are aliens. I'm guessing the general impression here is that, for instance, you know, Ket says she's a space alien. Probably did not start as a god, but because was an alien, was worshipped, and thus became a deity.
Power of faith, yo.
So, yeah, and this is very broad. Like, all the elemental gods are like, man, that sea's really cool. What if we just offered prayers to the sea so it didn't fucking kick my ass? Boom, there's a sea god. Man, this mountain's really cool. It must be holy. Bam, there's a mountain god. That's basically how it worked. If humans believed in something and worshipped it like a god, it became unto a god.
Like, honestly, it's either one thing. Did this thing try and kill you? Worship it so it doesn't kill you less. Does the thing does good things for you? Worship it so it does continue to do good things for you.
Yes. Please, gods, make my grain cool. I need that to live. And then the goddess of grain is like, yo, dog, I got you covered. That'll be 50. That'll be 50 prayer bucks.
Prayer bucks.
You know. Oh man, throwing thunderbolts. Zeus must be mad at somebody today.
Quick, sacrifice shit.
Hey, did you hear Grease Bob got hit by lightning? He must have pissed off Zeus.
Mm-hmm.
And back then, that was literally true. Or Zeus was just throwing them because he was an asshole. That's kind of... So let's move into our next point. So the gods just existed, basically. They were a continuous existence. They had phenomenal cosmic powers, but were still fairly limited in number, and were not able to rapidly change their personalities or approaches over time. Whereas humans, despite being very low power, had vastly more numbers and had their intellect and creativity spread among them. Like, think of it this way. Gods don't iterate. They can have a new generation, but that's a whole new god of something else, right?
Yeah.
Unless there's some kind of, like, thing where they seize their authority, which is a different subject. You don't necessarily take the powers of a previous god and learn from them.
No.
The god of thunder has a kid who's the god of storm clouds, and he does storm cloud stuff. Whereas, if your dad was a blacksmith and his dad was a blacksmith, all of their institutional knowledge can pass to you, and you can be a better blacksmith. But also, maybe you could teach, like, 5 other guys to be blacksmiths, and thus, humans advance.
Gods are stuck in stagnation, basically.
Yes, they personify a concept, and the important thing is that while they have lots of ability to understand things, like their perception and their power level is much higher than an individual human, they are still, because humans conceive of them, they are still limited by human personalities and creativity. One god is not necessarily any more smart or creative or well-adjusted than any one individual human, just they can, throw lightning bolts and shoot planets and stuff.
I kind of take the measure of gods are usually personifying a force of nature, and forces of nature aren't known for their, startling personalities and,
Yeah. But
And,
I
you
think
know.
the important thing is that they're taking the anthropomorphic theory and being like, so because humans believe in gods that are like humans, the gods are like humans, but they don't grow and evolve in the same way as us.
Yeah.
So they were basically big static blobs of power going around doing god stuff. So in the Age of Gods, to control and corral the humans whose worship they need, because otherwise they stop existing, they basically operated by creating their various divine laws, founding many ancient countries, and by favoring various heroes and kings, like Gilgamesh. We'll come back to that. But yeah, this is why there's all those myths of like a god founded your country or picked the founder of your country or something. Basically, that's the gods are part of the natural system. They're just trying to keep everything running smooth. That's their quote-unquote job. The first big break in the Age of Gods happened in 12,000 BCE. Originally, all gods were 100% physical and part of nature, and literally walked among humans. They were literally out there doing stuff. And then the White Titan Sephar arrived, and she basically defeated all the gods, including the prototype Olympians, which greatly weakened their physical forms and reduced their influence. And then Sephar was defeated by a human wielding the Holy Sword, which increased their influence. So, kind of setting up the whole switch. Gods no do goo, human do goo.
Yeah.
And yes, Extella actually matters. Again.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that for a while. Some people I don't think some people understand that it's actually kind of a big deal, but maybe not Extella Link, but the regular Extella title is actually important.
I wonder if I can find that. Oh, here it is. I found it.
You found the image?
I think I'm pretty sure it's this image.
Yep.
Well, it's white, but
It's it's in one of the fade ups, but yeah, it's the right one.
Let's see if I can find a better one.
Defeating the White Titan. I used one as a thumbnail, but I think that version has still got stuff all over it. Anyway, so that was the first thing that kind of interrupted the flow of the Age of Gods was, well, the gods used to be literally physical and fucking around doing stuff, but then the White Titan beat up a lot of them and killed several of them, so they had to kind of change up what they're doing. The second major blow was around 2600 BCE with everybody's favorite king dickhead, Gilgamesh. So originally, Gilgamesh was created by the Mesopotamian gods as a form of control. He was supposed to be the keystone that kind of holds humanity in place and steered human development so they didn't get too far away from the gods. But then he decided to rebel and basically went for a full separation, further drastically reducing their influence. And, I don't know. Fate's not super clear about this, but I'm guessing that because the influence keeps separating and it just becomes basically an overall cultural trend, more and more people keep separating.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's just because they were the dominant culture at the time, I'm not sure. But as far as I understand it, most gods are not necessarily directly syncretic. They can be, like, literally the Hindu gods displaced from India to China to Japan, technically, I believe, in Fate lore, because of syncretism.
Well, yeah, but that's more on the effects of humans and their belief rather than the gods
Right.
themselves.
So I don't know, though, if, like, we're supposed to be like, oh, Ishtar literally became Astarte, became Ashtaroth, and then became a devil kind of thing. Like, or if that just is how the game decided to conceptualize Space Ishtar, you know?
Mm.
So I don't know. I don't necessarily know how Gilgamesh flipping the bird to the gods also means that the Olympians were fucked over, or if they were separate. Maybe it's just because all these different things keep happening to different groups of gods, they all eventually got weaker. Who knows? This is unclear.
I probably feel because, the Mesopotamia River Valley was one of the cradles of civilization, so basically taking that stance eventually spread, which basically would overall weaken the gods' influence. I guess. I don't know.
And then, much later, Solomon, the king of magic, died, and this further reduced mystery a lot, because he was the magic king, so after he died, we were basically left with some of his systems of magecraft as, like, the only way to do magic stuff, so that kind of reduced mystery. And so basically all of this combines to degrade gods into divine spirits, who are eventually forced to retreat to the reverse side and could not directly interfere with humanity or have physical forms without possessing a body. But that sounds like a subject for a different time, which I've actually added, because I'm pretty sure we haven't actually done that. So I put, what is a divine spirit on here?
That sounds good.
And if I have done that, somebody please remind me, but I don't remember it. Because that'll actually, there's some concepts like authority and the possession thing and kind of what's going on there we should maybe talk about, but that's separate from the Age of Gods. Officially, the Age of Gods ended in 700 BCE for some reason, but ooh, it's unknown, spooky! I.e. Nasu hasn't read that part yet.
Or he has, or it's holding on to it. Who knows?
It's just, The Age of Gods officially ended in 700 BCE for some unknown trigger, which is not yet known to time. Shrug. And I would say to note that this is just the generally accepted time. Various ages and pantheons may have fallen at different times. The Scandinavian gods' age ended in a Ragnarok-like event, and the Age of Gods may have persisted in Britain until the reign of King Arthur, because that's a big deal there. That, Arthur defeating Vortigern kind of finally finished off the Age of Gods in the British Isles and kind of set everything on the path of man. After that, there was probably an Age of Fairies, but there are no further details on this time. Just that it happened. And who knows, maybe that only happened in England, and that's what the thing with King Arthur was about. I don't know. I think it's only mentioned in, a side note in the, Garden of Avalon light novel and in case files, so. After that, we come to the Age of Man we know today. Mystery is on the decline, replaced by science! Science! Any creature which still needs mystery, phantasmal to divine spirits, etc., has to relocate to the reverse side, where mystery is still strong, but also regular humans would be completely destroyed because it's fucking magical over there. True magic has become incredibly limited. There are only 5 magics, I think. I think it stops at 5. Or at least there are 5 known true magics. Which, I don't know. I don't think we've put that as a... Did we do that one already? We might have. Because that would involve Heaven's Feel, which we probably would have explained at some point. I'll look back in the archives. But it's mostly devolved into the Magecraft we know, which is also an entirely different Teach Me Omega-Sensei subject of whatever Magecraft actually is. So, what happens next is not certain. It's possible that killing Mystery and all that stuff will spell out not only the end of Magecraft and any remaining divine spirits, but also mana and life itself, resulting in one of the many bad ends where Earth becomes a lifeless husk. Nasu likes this one. But also, resident future experts such as Gilgamesh and Merlin have also said that there could be an Age of Will, where mankind will propagate amongst the stars, possibly leaving our physical bodies behind. So that's cool. If anybody's curious when Gilgamesh said that, it was in CCC.
I'm assuming that's post-beasts and whatnot.
Yes, that's the good end, I think, of humanity, is that, we get off the Earth and go out and, the children of Earth, instead of Earth dying and us fucking around clinging on because we're humans and we don't die so easily, we'll actually, get off this planet and, properly leave our home and stuff. We'll see what endings go where. Now, how is all this relevant to Part 2? Well, so, when we actually talk about what the fuck a Lostbelt is, which I'm sure we will at some point, now that Lostbelt 1 is out, it's a topic, it's been there for a while, we'll actually discuss the mechanics of how they're trying to do it, but the short version is, as we discussed earlier, the Cryptors are trying to recover a time of mystery, basically the Age of Gods, for reasons, and to do that, they basically need to find a functional world line where the decline didn't actually happen. There were many, many turning points, some of which we can guess aren't the subject of a Lostbelt. I'll talk about that in a little second. But basically, there are a lot of points where magic, mystery, gods, and phantasmals might not have left. As a theoretical example, we're pretty sure there's not going to be a Babylonia Lostbelt, because there's not any Lostbelts shown in the Middle East. But they totally could have done that. What if, say, for example, instead of becoming best bros, Enkidu Ed did actually boop Gil's snoot and got Gil back on the path of leading humanity? Would the Age of Gods never have declined, and humans would be still stuck in the, early Bronze Age or whatever, following divine guidance? Who knows? And we'll kind of see... You will see the changing points as we go through each Lostbelt, because that's a whole plot point, is usually how the Lostbelt is changed, right? But overall, this is why the Age of Gods matters, because that's what Wodame says he's trying to do. He's trying to go back to the time when humans and gods could communicate and coexist. And he has picked a certain turning point, a lot of his friends have, and honestly, some of the Lostbelts don't even have to do with the Age of Gods, which is kind of why it's probably a competition. But a lot of them have to do with the kind of, refinement of humanity and whatnot. So we'll see kind of how that works out. But yeah, that's basically it. There's not a super lot of detail about how exactly it works, probably because mystery is so squishy. It's by definition not a firm concept.
Mm-hmm. If it was, it wouldn't be mystery. Exactly.
That's, in fact, how that works. So there's not a lot to talk about what life was like. It's like a mythological story. Whatever people believed in was true on a certain level. You could be so mad at somebody, you could spit out a curse as you died, and they would die too, kind of stuff. You could grow to be 10 feet tall and, punch hydras or whatever. And clearly, we are in a world where that doesn't happen. Alright, so that was Age of Gods. Our 3 topics now are what is Magecraft, what is a Lostbelt, and what is a Divine Spirit, assuming that I haven't done that one already, but pretty sure. Sorry. Yawny breath.
Yawns.
Stretching the voice. I guess it's time to talk about Babylonia.
Yeah!
So this is episode 21, the final one, and it's basically all denouement, but it feels appropriate. I'm pretty sure the final section of Babylonia was actually this long. We kind of have an opening and a coda, like a beginning and ending, with Mash and the Master talking about how this is just their small story, you know? Just kind of thematic stuff. It's neat, though. The team wakes up, well, the 2 of them, I should say, wakes up north of the wall near the actual Babylon. And we meet up Jaguar-Man and Kets, yay! So we did not actually get to see Sirius Jaguar-Man. Rip.
Yeah.
But we do get to see Kets and Jaguar-Man again. It's cool. I do appreciate that they kept Kets' design post her going Super Saiyan, basically, where all her broken accessories are still broken.
Mm-hmm.
So we have our little, you know, wrapping up chat with Kets and Jaguar-Man. Jaguar-Man describes how she saved Kets. I saw a piece of space debris. I thought that must be cuckoo, so I caught it. I personally think that would have been really cool if you had shown that, but okay, we'll suck it up. Pacing, whatever. There's not really much to talk about in the scene, because it's just, they wrap up the character arcs and stuff, so you know as much as we do when you watched it. It's sufficiently bittersweet, though. You know, you've got the whole, oh, it's so good to see you again, but also we have to say goodbye kind of stuff. You know, I do appreciate that nobody's super broken up about it, because remember, this is the 7th story, so obviously we've done this a few times.
We have learned to say goodbye.
And we do, you know, Kets brings her big One-san energy the whole way.
Yeah. Hugs.
Even as she leaves, we do the classic fade out. And then it's like, well, where can we find everybody? Well, let's go ahead and let's go to Uruk. And we go back to the embassy. And who's waiting there? It's Merlin and Ishtar. Yay! So this is basically Merlin's goodbye scene. You know, interesting. I feel like in the game the Singularity deteriorated much faster, but I guess for pacing it didn't work for the anime. Mm-hmm. It takes a couple days for the Singularity to lock down and collapse, but also maybe because we don't have a Holy Grail yet. Who knows? That is technically usually the reason why the Singularity breaks up, so maybe that's why it was taking a while to stop. But yeah, so this is basically the conclusion of Merlin's arc. He talks about his feelings, you know, as a watcher and all that stuff, and how he took a personal interest in Fujiwara's story, and was like, just once I had to come help you out.
Your biggest fan.
He gives him a flower, which is very important. Ishtar does not spill the beans that Aresh also totally faded from the Singularity already, and is just like, don't worry about it. She gave you your goodbye, said to, you know, give you your feelings. She thought the flowers are very cool. Though Merlin kind of tips the hand a little bit when he hands the flower, and is like, this is mine and her, you know, sympathies. There's a lot of good bants, though, between Merlin and Romani.
Oh, yeah, there is.
The bants. Also, Merlin is very scared because Kets said she's sorry she missed Merlin because she wanted to give him a joint lock. And he's like, no, I'm not listening. I can't hear you. It didn't happen. But yeah, it's just a neat little scene. I don't think we don't get the flashback to everybody in the embassy until way later, right? That's not until they're talking to Gil?
Yes.
Okay. So I think we just transition to Merlin's just like, well, gotta go back to Avalon. Bye!
Have
and
a flower!
He disappears in a flash of flowers. And then we go up to the ziggurat. And this was a little confusing at first, but I kind of caught on that it was a flashback. But we have a flashback. Gil's having another dream. He's dreaming about, after just defeating the Divine Beast, his people are having a feast. He's just chilling on his ziggurat, talking to Enkidu. And you can tell this is real Enkidu because of the eyes.
Yep.
But they just have a little conversation where Enkidu's like, hey, dude, you're a huge asshole. Why did you help your people out? And he's like, I'm an asshole, but I'm also the king. It's kind of my job. You know, I'm supposed to look out for them. It's not just protecting them, but also just the nature of stuff. And he's like, well, why don't you tell them that? They think you're a huge asshole. And he's like, nah, I can't do that. But I did share my story with somebody, you know, and they have their bromance and stuff. And Enkidu's like, yeah, you're right. I'm not a human. You can't tell me your story. And the flashback kind of ends before I assume that Gil's going to say that what they call their relationship is friendship. He's going to say, like, we're friends, and then it fades up because, you know, Fujimaru and Mash walk up and they interrupt his kingly sleep. And he, like everybody else, is like, God, why did you guys take so long? Too much sleep is not good for me. Though he does allude to the fact that he's not physically alive anymore.
Mm-hmm.
He says, "Oh well, my body's not physical anymore, so what does it matter?" And basically, we get the conclusion of Gil's arc in this, where we go up to the top, we talk about things. Gil does a extremely expurgated version of the climax of the Epic of Gilgamesh, where after his friend died, he wanted to go seek the Herb of Immortality, and then he got cucked by a snake at the last minute.
Mm-hmm.
And then he laughed, because it was very funny. He discovered the true meaning of human existence.
Honestly, I'm really happy they animated that.
No, it looks really good.
Especially when you just see long hair Gil and him just like, oh. Because, for those who don't know, Gil was pretty much a sorry sack of shit during his whole immortality quest.
Yes, and he says it himself. He's like, he was down in the dumps, he'd lost everything, and then it's only at the end that he realizes, oh, hey, that's the whole point. The point is that immortality was kept for the gods themselves, and the point of humans is to live and die. And he kind of puts the capstone on it, and like, this is very especially telling for Mash, because, she's slowly dying at this point in the story.
Huh.
What's up?
No, I was just wondering if that resolution is what was made the final push to keep them to move away from the gods. I wonder.
The fact that Gil kind of like realized how different they were? Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, I think, honestly, I think maybe before that he was just saying "fuck you" to the gods just because
right, because they were trying to control him. But then after he actually understands the meaning of human existence, he come back and he's like, "No, we're pretty different, guys. We're not the same.
Yeah,
we are not going in the same direction, basically."
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's basically the short version of his story. He understood after that, like what the whole meaning of human existence. And he says, "You even if you've lost everything, your life doesn't stop mattering seconds before your death. Your heart keeps adding up, and the meaning of your existence isn't calculated until it's over. So until everything happens, you keep going." And he's like, because, obviously, Fujimaru, being a sad boy inside because of all his PTSD, is, lays the single flower on the top of the ziggurat as kind of a grave. Because Gil says that, don't worry, history will find the people in this region will flourish even long after I'm gone. Kind of thing, which is, I believe, true to history, that there was actually like a weird sudden, like, Uruk suddenly declined after the supposed reign of Gilgamesh, and then other cities kind of came back up. I'm not an expert in Mesopotamian history, though. But, he lift your head up high and stuff. It's fine. You did good. I will tell you now, I will acknowledge you. You did alright. You did good, kid, kind of thing. Is this when the ending kicks in? Or is it after he slurps on the Grail? I think it's after the Grail.
It's after the Grail.
Yeah, so Gil does the classic scene. We remember this from the game, where he's like, well, you came this far, I guess you need a souvenir. Would you like a drink with me? And then it's like, we're both underage, we can't drink. And he's like, oh, that's sad. Oh, well. Does that fucking dumb lick face?
I mean, everyone has saved the fuck out of that image.
Yeah. It's pretty... It's adorable, though. Gil is finally off work. He gets to relax. He's just having some fun. He's like, oh, well, I can give you the cup at least. It just hucks a holy grail at them, which everybody starts freaking out.
Yep.
Sip. But, he's having fun, and then he starts to think about stuff, and, like, we see the flashback to thinking about everybody who, was part of this adventure, who's all gone now, all the servants, having a fun time back at the embassy. Gil kind of talks about acknowledging everything and kind of, just his story and that things will be okay. Earlier, Ishtar mentioned that because she wasn't summoned by the Holy Grail, she gets to stick around basically until it's time for her to leave normally. And he sends everybody back. He asks you, how was Uruk? And it was great. It was fun. Yep. And then we fade into an ending montage. We see all the people. We see the people of Uruk wandering. There's a brief shot of, like, Gil overlooking those people as his spirit origin fades. Oh, he does also confirm how his archer self showed up. When he fell into the underworld, he went behind Ereshkigal's back to basically appear as his form as King of Heroes.
Mm-hmm.
Which was a really roundabout way of saying how we generally understood it before, that he basically summoned himself as a servant, kind of.
Honestly, I feel like we should have a Gilgamesh ships emote now.
If somebody can get us a good isolation of that screen cap, we can do a gill sip. But yeah, so his spirit origin fades, and then, the credits roll, everybody has a good time, it's great. And then the beats hit, the alarms are going off, we're back in Chaldea, shit's on fire again, everything's breaking, because of course it is, god damn it. They're yelling about stuff breaking. They drop a very interesting line, which is, I think it's Da Vinci says, T- something hours until we stabilize in 2016. Hey, guess what, guys? As of the time that episode was released, that many hours means September.
Yeah.
So, pretty sure it's coming out in September, kids. Assuming it's not delayed, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately.
No, we did not get that second Grail Tyranny King.
No, technically we did not. When did we actually recover the first one? Was that the reward for beating Tiamat?
Yeah, basically what happens is Merlin says, hey, when we were falling, I grabbed this.
That's right. He passes us the official Grail. That's why the Singularity fades so fast normally.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna guess what we're going with is that Gil recovered that Holy Grail, because he gave his Holy Grail to Kingu, who turned into a chain and died? ? I mean, he probably died, but it's unclear how literal that was, or if he just exploded like he never existed.
I'm pretty sure he died because Gil was all like, I was able to actually say goodbye to my friend this time.
Yes. I was able to see my friend go twice, and the second time it was, a big damn hero's moment.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so we recover a Holy Grail and we get to go back. Mash of the Master storm in, and they're like, what's going on? And Romani is like, well, I'm sorry to have to get you back into this so far, but we've locked it in. We're preparing for the ultimate move. Everybody's life is in my hand. It's time to authorize the final thing. We're going to the final singularity. You're going to Solomon's singularity. Grand Temple of Time, Solomon. And then that's the post-credits and ends.
They
and then
gave
on
it
stream...
a weird name. What was it? Let me see.
It's Grand Temple of Time?
No, I think they used the word ultimate in there, actually.
Ultimate Temple of Time? I don't remember now. I just remember Temple of Time, Solomon. It's a big deal. Maybe it was the ultimate singularity.
Let me see here. What do they call it?
But basically, on that stream, that was going to be the Anime Japan panel, they announced that they are in fact making a Solomon adaptation. I think that's all we know, though, is that they're making it, right? Like,
oh no, it doesn't have ultimate in it. It's Final Singularity, the Grand Temple of Time, Solomon. Yeah. Grand. That's what I thought. Ultimate.
Final. You probably combined final and grand. It's ultimate.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was kind of the kicker. There was the stinger was we're going to the Temple of Time. They did it exactly like Solomon himself, or rather, as we know him, Gatia, did not appear to tell us to fuck off and die. But maybe he will in the opening. Because it's a really interesting thing they did with Babylonia. They super underplayed Gatia. Like, he appears just in the London flashback, I think.
Well, that's the thing about Gatia. Like, he was always just the fucking final boss in the fucking castle.
Well, yeah, but there were a couple of times we more directly mentioned his influence, and I think in Babylonia, normally, in the phone game chapter, he, like, Kingu or Tiamat or Gorgon or somebody tries to actually, like, chats with him about how the Singularity's going. So they severely underplayed his opportunities to appear in this, Did Mash have one of her horrible freaky dreams?
Wasn't that at the beginning?
I think that was still in the beginning. It's hard to tell. It's been the anime's, 22 total episodes counting episode 0, and that was spread out over several seasons with breaks, so... Yeah. At some point, I need to, like, rewatch the whole thing in a bulk, but not right now, because I don't have time. Yeah, so MASH did have the beginning, and then one of the early flashbacks, one of the early cold opens was London, where Solomon was just like, hello, I'm Big Dick Swinging. I don't care if you win. I win in the end. Fuck you. Bye.
Get you out, smoke bomb.
Solomon bomb. Which was another situation where apparently the master had to use all his command spells. Because there are a couple lingering shots that show all of his spells are used up in the anime.
Mm.
So apparently in story he gets them back between singularities. Because he had 3 when he started, but the London one shows that he used, I think, all 3. That would be a funny parallel if every singularity story he used all 3. But yeah, so they announced Solomon's coming out, but at this time I don't believe we have any more details.
Yeah.
Did they confirm it's a series?
No, it just says it's in production.
Yeah, so we don't know. Is it a movie? Is it would it be like a TV OVA? Like, would it be just an hour-long thing? Are they actually going to do it as a series? Which
I don't think they can do it as a series.
I think they could. They could do all the Demon Pillar battles as kind of a, like, half, like, flashback homage to all the Singularities. I don't know if they do it that way, though, right?
I don't think so.
Like, they really should just focus on the key parts, which is we arrive there, the initial conflict.
Like,
we get our fucking... Well, go ahead, Lucky.
Yeah, because we get there, we have our initial confrontation with Liv Laner.
Right.
And then, shit goes bad. John does the speech. At that point, there should just be a fuck ton of servants showing up and doing battle.
Right. She drops the title speech, and they say all the stars are heroic spirits, and just we show them just being summoned in, and just there should be probably a good 10 to 20 minutes of just servants, a montage of just servants exploding demon pillars.
As I said, and like honestly, instead of like doing callbacks, they can just focus on particular groups of servants as they do battle with specific demon pillars,
mm-hmm.
and
which is really what the in-game story was just there was a intro and outro, which was the intro was servants appeared and did stuff, and then the outro was usually a villain or an antagonist or something came back in a special way and actually helped out.
Yeah. And then from there, we would move to the central node, and all that's
where the money is just because that's like 3 or 4 battles in game, mm-hmm. and all of which matter. So it's the initial confrontation. Oh, we can't hurt Gatia at all because of his Nega Messiah. Then real Solomon shows up and does the thing, and then Gatia does the thing. And actually, that's going to be really interesting to see because the first thing he does is. I lost that last word. I'm not even going to try. But that's where Mash dies. But technically we have 2 fights with him because we have full Demon King and then Human King Gatia fights. So are we going to skip that second fight in there and just have him slowly break down as the master fucking punches his ass?
That's the thing, like, if I don't actually get some fucking, Master versus Gatia.
I think they will, because they established it very well in Babylonia that while not necessarily super magically strong, he can do a couple of basic spells, like reinforcement, healing, Gander, and stuff. Mm. And he does actually keep physically fit, so he can actually wander around in these, so all to the point of willing to get up in Tiamat's face. So I could totally see him just picking up the fucking shield and being like, oh, it's go time. And just punching it out. And then, that's actually a very good question. Do you think they'd have Kawasumi do faux speaking? She does faux sounds, but did she do the dialogue?
They have to, because she is... Remember how Japanese VAs work. If you're a character, you're
yes,
that
but
character
remember,
forever.
Gatia technically has 2 voice actors, too, because he's 2 people. Like, would faux actually speaking be different, or would they do it the same? Because you could argue
they do it the same. Because there's one speaking as Solomon and one speaking as Gatia. You can technically say that could be 2 different characters.
True, because Solomon's actor is Solomon.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be super interesting, but we do that scene. Which
actually, here's a question. Is Roman's voice actor the same as Solomon's voice actor?
I do believe it is.
Yeah, see.
It's hard to tell because Gatia Solomon has like the reverb and all the extra shit. Mm. But I believe they are the same. When at least when he appears as real Solomon in that story, he actually is just the voice
guess
actor.
what? When this comes out, we'll figure out how they do it. But I can see them doing I can see Kawasumi-san doing Foe. She'll just have the higher pitched voice probably.
Actually, I don't know. I think if it's older Foe, she might even just go deeper rather.
Who knows?
Because she does have a decent amount of range, considering that mostly in Fate she only voices Artoria.
I don't know, like, here's the fun thing, even in Artoria, her Artoria...
Well, yeah, that's what I mean, though, right? Like, she does actually do distinct voices for, like, say, Lily, Saber, Lancer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or has completely different intonations between Saber and Saber Alter, etc.
Yeah. And MHX and MHX Alter are also kind of way different. It's weird.
Yeah, I don't know how she... Because MHX is just an Artoria, but the way... I guess it's the comedy coming out, it's just... Kawasumi delivers that performance completely differently.
Yeah.
Though, you want, like you said... And sometimes actors will shock you.
Yeah.
Like, Miyuki Sawashiro, who is Mordred, is also Artemis, which is like still blows my mind a little bit that we can go from those two different voices, which are vastly different.
That's great.
Because, she also does Rama. Rama's voice isn't really that different than Mordred's, because they're both kind of that boyish timbre.
Rama's just kind of more cultured, I want to say.
Yeah, Rama is probably a more defined performance, but the tone of their voice is about the same. Mm-hmm. Nightingale is a little bit different. It's probably because of the craziness, but Orion is wildly different. Orion is, a bubbly airhead character. So yeah, it could be interesting to see some range.
Think about the victory line where she's just screaming, "Yeah, I did it! Look at me, darling!" And I'm just all like, "Oh my god,
darling Daisuke!" Just again, the anime girl noises Twitter.
Yep,
because that's totally just wow noise. I'm like, what? Is that even words? The answer is no, but that's okay. We use pause words and sounds in all languages.
I don't know. I think I was talking about this in stream when names Minami was making just Japanese woman sounds. And I'm like, I love this. She was just going. I'm like,
yes. She's really good at that. Just the and they talked about that was the thing they talked about in localization was keeping the umu.
Yeah,
as we decided just to eventually they changed it back and we're just gonna keep it umu because that. The players liked it better, and that flowed better to just be like, and we've talked a lot about Kana Ueda's masterful wah 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 noises. Seriously though, when can I get that announcement about Merry Christmas from the Underworld OVA, guys? Honestly, I think that considering the amount of production they've put in Babylonia, that would be a pretty baller epilogue.
Yeah,
if only just so we could get Noto Mamiko sheep noises in full 1080p 60 frames. Because that's the thing about the not even necessarily the studio, but the people who worked on Babylonia is they would do it. They would be like, how crazy can we animate this? We're gonna make this look like some fucking Gurren Lagann shit. Sheep power. But yeah, so that's the episode of Babylonia. That's the announcement of Solomon. We don't know what they're doing. It should be after the first Camelot movie, which we talked a lot about last time. Mm-hmm. Well, we've seen all of it. Lucky, what are your overall thoughts on Babylonia as an anime?
I think they, wow, that is I'm working on Void Shiki right now, and working on 80 to 90, she has given me 2 super sucks, so I was all like, she loves me. She really does love me. But anyway, so I can't say that I'm happy with all of it. I can't. There's a lot of scenes that I wanted that didn't make it in, but I can also understand necessarily why they might not have done it. For pacing reasons, flow of story reasons, and just how much time they had. Remember, this was only 21 episodes. Usual double seasons end up at 24. Right.
Well, we can say it was 22, but the Prologue 0 episode was assumably produced at a separate time because it came out way earlier. It's like what they do with Case File 0. Yeah.
But no, Lucky is not working on the fucking thumbnail right now because I'm getting Shiki to 90 before this fucking episode is over. But as I said, there's a lot of things that I'm kind of sad. Animation was great. And the studio knows what people want, as we have plenty of Rin ass shots and legs.
There's a lot of Rin action. There was a lot of flirting with how much they can show of Ketz's body.
Mm-hmm. But they definitely toned back on the comedy aspect, which I am a little upset about. Because, as I said, with the there was the montage as you work as the Chaldean embassy, there wasn't any of those particularly funny ones. While Jaguar Man was entirely as funny as I was hoping to be, they still cut out some of the things that she could have done. Mm-hmm. We didn't get the Sky High Ultimate Flying Justice Bomb. That whole scene, while I understand it, I feel kind of skimped on.
Yes, they definitely did reduce the comedic aspects of the story. Now, some of that is probably because of, we said, about, pacing and adaptation. They only had so many episodes, and Babylonia as a game chapter is really fucking long. And so, while I think for a lot of parts they did make we talked about this last week, talking about, the Bell Lamus, they really made the audience feel how much of a pain in the ass some of the fights were. Mm-hmm. At the same time, sometimes you need those comedy beats because you've just done 5 fucking pips punching Lamus or Chimeras or something other bullshit, and you're just tired of life right now, and it just needs to lift your spirits a little bit. Just have a little laugh. The anime doesn't have that quite long downtime between scenes, though obviously it does still have some very heavy scenes. And there are some comedic moments, and there are some lighthearted moments where they kind of break down to let you relax tension.
Yeah, but then they have the really high tension rates, because as I said, things I definitely love, like, I do love a lot of the battle scenes. My top two are definitely just the whole episode of Ushiwaka versus Tiamat.
8 and 18?
Yeah, 18 of Kets versus Tiamat.
Yeah, both of those were mostly action and were a lot of the high production aspects.
Yeah.
No, not to shame any of the other episodes. A lot of the fights had really good animation. It's just that those were the ones that where you could literally see the animators go like, "All right, time for me to get serious." You know,
this is where they take off their shirts, they put on a headband, they power up.
Right. You know, they pull out. It's time for me to use my special pencil. You know, this was my grandfather's animating pencil, kind of thing. Like they took off all their glasses. You know, it's the typical power-up stuff. Like, so that's when they really cut loose.
Yeah.
And man, I hope in both Solomon and Camelot animators continue to cut loose.
Yeah. But let's see here. The soundtrack is amazing. Like,
it is.
Jesus
Did
Christ.
the part 2 come out already?
I don't know.
I think it might have. I gotta find it. Because there's a couple of tracks that aren't in the first part. But we're talking about sound, they hit all the good beats with soundtrack. They had both good original themes like Ishtar, Gil, etc. have original leitmotifs. The big main theme, you know, that plays during Piero del Sol and Ushiwaka Denora, you know, that really big music. That's the part they play in the post-credit scene. That's just called Absolute Demonic Battlefield Babylonia, I think. It's basically the main theme of the anime, the internal OST main theme. It's really good.
Tyrannocaine is gonna be Anastasia, Angry Cat, and the Future Brawn. It's that simple. They're literally all on the banner right now.
Yeah.
But let's see here. I like the music. I like the animation. I said the adaptation was okay. I'm not gonna be upset and be all like, "No, this sucked. It was horrible. They didn't have this." But because you know, it's honestly about compromise.
Right. Because you know, I'm sure they didn't want to leave the scene out with Jaguar Man because one, that's the one time Jaguar Man gets to be like they kind of made a point for Jaguar Man to be really cool when she kicked everybody's ass, but in the actual story, that was the one moment for Jaguar Man to be cool and to actually show off her serious look. I'm sure they didn't feel good about cutting it, but it was just like, when do we insert this scene, right?
Yeah.
And they just decided not to because it works perfectly good as a callback, basically.
Yeah. I mean, also, everyone's gonna remember fucking Taiga, like, doing all her comedic shit, like, just as much as you remember the pack of Jaguar men just run up on the fucking group. Or, you know, her imitating fucking Tiamat and just kind of off screen.
But also though, I'm pretty sure her fight scene stuck in everybody's mind because you were like, oh, she's a joke character. She can't possibly. Holy shit! As she just demolishes everybody while shouting, you know, Jaguar Punch, Jaguar Kick. Was there a Jaguar Beam in there somewhere? Maybe I don't remember.
I think there was a Jaguar Eye or something.
That's definitely one of her skill attacks is Jaguar Eye, but I don't know if it was actually in there. Yeah. She beat up a lot of people in a lot of weird ways, and it was funny.
And I said, like, and also, like, I really like the performances of, like I said, I watched it in Japanese. I know that I think the dub is still coming out.
Yes, they are a few episodes behind, but they are doing it.
Yeah, as I said, but I really like the Japanese VA. And
well, again,
their performance,
especially with FGO. No offense to the English actors, I think they are doing an okay job. They have a good team for them, but FGO does not have an official English voice pack, and please don't, because that would be... Well, I don't know. They might make enough money for that to pay all those people, but I don't know. I don't know if my game could handle a second voice pack, though. But from playing the game, guess what? All the voices are in Japanese. We know all them as the actors. And they've been pretty consistent, whereas, unfortunately, the voice actors for Fate have actually swapped a couple of times in English. Though there are a couple of minor characters... Like, Bedivere and Mordred actually have switched, but that's because they basically had cameos in the Dean Fate Stay Night, where they said, like, 2 lines. But they have been the voices of those characters for 15 years? Are we at the 15-year anniversary now?
Yes.
Yeah, because it won't be 20 years until 2024. But they've been going on pretty well. Well, I don't know. It depends on where they are. A lot of voice actors will phone in remotely, Tyranno King. or use remote studios, and you don't need. It really depends on where they are.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Anyway, but just the Japanese voice acting is the most consistent, and that's what we hear all the time. When I boot up FGO and I listen to it with sound, which I'm going to be trying to play all of Anastasia with the sound up for various reasons, including just the fact that there's brand new music to enjoy.
Yeah.
But like that's where we hear all those people from. So it's like I cannot imagine Saber not being Ayako Kawasumi. You know, I can't imagine Astolfo without Rumi Okubo's super peppy voice. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, we should say that MASH technically changed voice actors, but that's because her original voice actress had to stop for health reasons. So they were like,
Yes.
"Fuck, MASH needs new dialogue. We have to get somebody new." And it's not like that voice actress didn't come back. They just had to figure out something for MASH because she constantly is recording new dialogue. Because MASH's original VA was the same as Matahari and Kiyohime.
Oh,
and
wow.
also Mary, I think.
Mm.
I think so. Anyway, but yeah, it's just the Japanese voices are the iconic ones because they're the ones in the game. And just actually, I don't know. I haven't heard any clips of the dub with whoever they got for Ketz, but I'm just having a hard time imagining anybody not speaking in Ketz's particular voice pattern. You know?
If there's something I do appreciate, I don't know if like I do appreciate about the translation between Ket's Japanese and English is even though she's saying things like yes, they're translating it as hola and stuff.
Right, because that's usually what happens with a lot of localization. Is that
it's a Puerto Rican actress. Nice.
Oh, interesting. Well, that's a good.
I'm gonna listen to that. I want to see how she sounds.
Well, at least that's a good effort to actually kind of get somewhere in the locality. But I'm just thinking of like Ketz's speech pattern where she kind of has that, you know, that high energy, almost like up and down.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can think about it when she's doing her last line. You know, "Oni-san daisuki desu," as she, you know, kind of picks up at the end as she literally blasts off again.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so to me, I'm like, Keth has a very particular way of speaking, so I understand that one. It would be weird to hear somebody else do it. You know, and Mad Lad Nobunaga as the main character. We joked about this when we were watching the stream. Was like, I wonder if he asked to be paid in quartz because you know that crazy motherfucker would.
I mean, this is the guy who dresses up as his characters and goes on.
Who did he show up as an alternate Cat Juna during the stream? He was in
remember.
costume, I think, in the last stream. I still haven't watched it. But yes, he is constantly showing up to streams as Arjuna and Dantes, and now I think he can show up as Fujimaru with the fucking eye mask, playing the most chuny characters. He had the fucking ears during one of the big streams in New Year's.
Didn't Joji-san actually post a picture of him rolling for Gramps recently? I'm gonna double check this.
Possibly. Joji Nothing is a traitor. And
Yes,
it's like,
it
I don't know who they're gonna get to do Gramps and if they can match that man. Because that man is a powerhouse.
Let me see here. Actually,
you know, talking about range, Yu Asakawa is two people of this anime. And does a very good job of making Anna and Gorgon sound similar, but distinct. So much so that when Anna Gorgon comes back, she literally switches voices.
That's right. All right, forget. I'm sorry. I'm just remembering. I'm going through his tweets and him doing this.
He did the fucking Mapo Tofu pose.
Yeah.
He is a madman.
Oh yeah, here's a picture of him doing roll. Him trying to make his rolls.
And I'm hoping that our animation trend continues up through up past Solomon to either some EORs maybe, or hopefully, like I just said, give me like the version of First Order for Lostbelt, just like a short OVA that's like, hey, here's the intro to part 2, and maybe just squeak that Legion of Doom scene at the end. Subarashi. Oh, that's another thing I should say that was positive about the anime, and I wonder if you agree. How almost everybody got to do their thing, right?
Yeah,
like, I think only Jaguar Man and Benkei didn't get to pop an NP.
Oh, that's the thing. I will say I feel that Arashkagon's NP was a little...
I agree. I talked about that last time. I feel like it was a little lackluster, but they tried at least.
They tried. Let's see. Let's go through the list here. We got Ishtar's twice. The first time was like, oh. Then the second time was all like, oh.
It was like, wow, they still put a lot of effort into that.
Mash fired off Camelot a few times,
yes.
But I don't think it was necessarily...
Most of them were a little disappointing.
Yeah.
Like I said last time, I think the only really good one was versus Aresh.
Mm-hmm.
But still, she got to do it multiple times.
Let's see here.
Merlin did his.
It was good. Leonidas did his as well, and it was in a good moment. Ujiwaka's wasn't necessarily flashy, I want to say, but it was hella fucking dramatic in the moment.
And actually, Ushi did it too.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
She did the eye flash and Denora.
Yeah.
Neither of which she explicitly did in the game, I think. Did she use the flash to try and escape? Maybe.
She used one of them. I can't remember which one it was.
I think it was the Denora that was unnecessary, but was really fucking cool.
Really fucking cool. Let's see here.
Ketz,
definitely.
Ketz did both. She did both her canonical, looking way better than it did in the game, Sunstone, and also got to do her ultimate Diacowaddle move.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty fucking baller. Actually, we should mention that. That was when we were in our stream or post-stream get-together last night. We talked about how we were like, oh shit, are we gonna have to summon Ketz to Lostbelt 7 and have her kill the dinosaurs?
It might.
We'll see.
We actually had a lot of interesting discussion, Fate-related. But, let's see here. Jaguar Man didn't do one.
Did not explicitly do her Death Claw, though she did kick a lot of people's ass.
Yeah.
I don't think Anna technically did Caress of the Medusa.
Well, she didn't do it in story.
She did not explicitly call it out. She did do something like that where she slashed people and used her mystic eyes, but her fight with Gorgon wasn't very dramatic because it wasn't supposed to be.
And Gorgon did do,
They tacked on Pandemonium Castus.
Yeah, but I feel that was a little lackluster. The
animation wasn't as smooth. I do appreciate, though, that they were like, well, logically, what should we do? Oh, she'll just blast her with her giant beam.
I do kind of wish we had more kaiju battle with that, though.
Yeah, but again, honestly, the reason why we wanted to see more of it was because in the actual game story, it was just a little short note. It was just like, boom, Gorgon is here. Is she Anna? Maybe. She's gonna stop Tiamat for a second and break her wing off. Now she's dead. Bye. Like, it was just, I think, the opening or ending of a battle node, so it went by pretty fast.
I do like that in that scene, Gorgon speaks as her Gorgon voice, but as she leaves, she speaks in the Anna voice. I was like, oh, my heart!
Yes.
Oh.
Technically, Tiamat didn't use her super attack, but that would also not have made any sense, because that's where she fucking eats you.
Nom. Gramps never really did.
But he didn't do that in story either.
But he doesn't need to. He's just, here.
He was terrifying anyway. So Gramps was missed. Benkei did not use his NP, but again, I think that was to do with pacing, right?
Yeah, like, honestly,
it didn't, because honestly, we talked about this about adaptation, right? They did a much smarter thing in the anime, which was just ride on fucking pterosaurs.
Yeah.
It's like
the fucking Lord of the Rings thing. It's like, you can summon giant eagles. Why didn't we just take fucking giant eagles there?
And well, we did. So we summoned the Quetzalcoatlsauruses and we just rode them into battle rather than the Naruto bullshit. We're gonna use magic to run on the mud. Though Jaguarman does reference that when she talks about saving cats.
Yeah.
Which was at least cute. But yeah, so because of that, there was a lot less fighting on land in the actual ultimate fight.
Mm-hmm.
He still did good though, because he showed off a lot of his weapons and stuff, which was better than I think most people were expecting, and many people would say Benkei deserves.
As I kind of wish we got more into, like, because they do kind of skip over what happened to Benkei during his big regret, because he literally just started fighting demonic beasts and then Lahamu and like almost died doing it, but someone saved him. He's all like, "What I'm doing is wrong," and came back.
But that was again a pacing thing.
Yeah, I know. So it's good that he like showed back up. As it's just one of those questions. They also one of those things.
I don't think they referenced at all Tomoe, Ibaraki, Amakusa, or
Fuma.
Who was the fourth one?
I think it was Kotaro.
Yeah, I think it was Kotaro. Which is a shame.
You see them in the fucking ending shot. But yeah, none of them. But,
which is really weird because literally Ibaraki fucked off. She didn't even die. She just went away onto a mountain, and you can punch her out as a free quest.
And it's interesting because the other servants actually, died in battle, defeating other generals and stuff. I would have. I know it's a basic thing, I would have liked to see a flashback of that, of like just something real quick.
Yeah. Maybe not. Like maybe Ketz or Jaggerman should have commented more about how she took out Fuma and Amakusa, but Like, they could have shown, because Tomoe had a design by this point, they could have shown a, flashback with Tomoe taking out one of the powerful demonic beasts.
Or even just a flashback showing all, 7 servants assembled. At least.
And I feel like part of that was probably because since they're already dead by the time we get there, that's kind of almost like wasted characterization, because we dived really deep on, Leonidas, Benkei, Ushiwaka, etc.
That's true, because now I think about it, we have that right now. We didn't know about the fucking A-Team until, they actually became relevant.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, I would have appreciated maybe some more nods, but I understand why they didn't make too big of a deal out of them, because they're already out of the story, so it would be using up time that could have been better spent on characters who are in the story and are part of the dramatic arc.
Yeah, but let's see here. Yeah, I think that's all.
Aresh technically got hers. Gorgon got hers. Ishtar. He didn't. It wasn't actually his NP, but Gil did use an homage attack, and he did get to.
It was pretty much fucking. It was pretty much. It was literally the same effect.
Right. It's because he was still alive, but it was still
And Archer Gil did use Aya.
Yep. Kingu got to use Enema Elish. Honestly, I appreciate that they showed Gil fighting a lot more, which was not what was suggested by the other than when he got kicked by Spriggans, which they did skip, sadly. But that's probably a joke that to the wider anime audience wouldn't have made sense, because the anime doesn't have time to make you feel how much a pain in the ass Spriggans are, because they're from an entirely different story.
That joke also relied on knowing what class advantage was.
Right, that would be a little too meta for the anime, probably, sadly. As much as we all really wanted it to happen, it would have been very weird. Because a lot of people apparently weren't big into FGO who were starting on this anime, so
it's weird.
That's gonna. Like I said, I'd love to know more about those people, because that's got to be a hell of a ride. And unfortunately, if they really liked some of those characters, they have to do it all over again. Because Ketz is a story lock. If you really liked her in the anime, boy howdy, you got to do some work to get that one.
I'm still trying.
I got lucky. I think that was that tickets? That might have been tickets on the Ketz Gorgon banner.
I just learned that Joji Nakaka can actually make Mapo Tofu.
Of course he can. Why wouldn't he? But yeah, so there were a couple of moments they could have hit harder, but they tried to give everybody their fair shake at least. And I appreciate the effort. Maybe we'll see more in Solomon, because again, we don't know what they're doing. I think they did a decent job of touching on all the previous singularities, right? Mm-hmm. I think everyone got an homage.
Let's see here. They referenced London. They referenced Okeanos. They referenced
Orleans.
Orleans.
They did, at least in the montage, have all the quotes, there was a Nero quote in there and stuff.
Yeah, but because you have actually quite a few of the scenes were with the Orleans and Okeana scenes were MASH talking to Relevance. There was no Camelot homage. I can tell you that right. I can remember that. Because
that's true. I think there was only the side flash in episode 0 when MASH used Lord Camelot the first time. There was just that, and that was technically happening in the present because 0 was in the past.
I'm not sure.
I don't think America, there may have been a Nightingale line, but that's it.
There was a Nightingale line in 0.
Yes, because that's when they did one quote from every singularity leading up to Babylonia. So there was probably a Bedivere quote in there too. So technically there was a slight homage to Camelot. They leaned really hard into Okeanos and Orleans. Now, which I find interesting because for some reason I don't think Okeanos is super popular.
I don't know why. I love Okeanos.
Yeah, I don't know. I liked it decently enough. I mean, I like London, and I know people are mad at that for some dumb reason. London was heavily acknowledged in the story because it actually matters. Again, that's always the funny thing is we had some people talking about what people liked in Epic of Remnants and what were relevant, and I'm like, well, guess what, bitches? Shimosa was relevant, and it may be the only one that's literally plot relevant because it was technically a proto Lostbelt because Caster of Limbo showed up there. It's kind of a big deal.
And Musashi, who might have something to say here in this Lostbelt. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, she's in the trailers. Sure. She's in the PV, so we can say that at least.
Well, I've seen her effects, and I feel like I've been slightly spoiled, but I might have guessed it fucking anyway. But yeah, this anime is good. When it comes out on Blu-ray, I'm gonna fucking buy it.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same. I think we're gonna try and find the funds to lock in that Blu-ray because it's a really good look, And like it's a great, great animated. I want the whatchamacallit, the soundtracks. They're good.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm eager to see what else they do, because they definitely put a lot of love into this FGO project, which is good because it was ultimately, well, it's definitely funded by fans basically, and it's voted on by fans, right? So like I feel like they approached it with it wasn't like a quick cash grab or anything. The cash grab already happened. They already punched your wallet. So this is just like an honest homage. It's not perfect, but I don't know. I'd say solid 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, maybe.
I'll give it an 8 out of 10. Like I said, good animation, good sound. Adaptation's a little sketchy in some places, but it's understandable. Biggest probably critiques is sometimes the CG seems a little weird.
Yeah, the CG was not as refined as it could have been.
But no, other than like I said, so yeah, pluses, voices, animation, animations and music. Neutrals, I'd say adaptation, negative CG.
Yes. I think that's in our server Cards Against Humanity deck is obvious CG Gorgon. Because, man, it was really jarring a couple of times.
Yeah. Tiamat was a little bit better, but I wouldn't say by much.
There were still a couple of awkward shots. With Tiamat, I don't know if they learned their lesson or not, but with Tiamat, there felt like a lot of the more important shots were close-up shots where she was clearly animated regularly. Right up
CG discs. Sorry.
Right up until she turned Jurassic, but even then, that was like I said, that almost worked because she looked so weird in context, right?
Mm-hmm.
She looked like something that didn't belong in this world, which is possibly what they were going for. But yeah, that was Babylonia. Like I said, I'll be interested in those Blu-rays when they come out in the year 2525.
Honestly, if they're going by
probably won't be that
we're
long.
probably going to be getting them probably. Well, JP will probably have them this fall. I want to say.
Yeah, it'll be a matter of shipping and translation, maybe.
Yeah, but we might. I don't know. We're like I said, Aniplex has been working to getting us releases a bit faster. Like fuck, the last Heaven's Feel movie was announced only a few months after the release, and we just had to wait a few more months after that to actually get it.
Yep.
And the premieres are like were like less than a month apart for any. Do you already have DVDs out? And JP? Well, we should check to see what we're gonna do.
Well, that would make sense if they're because the whole scheme is, usually they'll do like small volume releases of DVDs or Blu-rays, and then they do the whole package.
Yeah, that's what I want. I want the whole package.
I could see though that because obviously the anime was kind of split into very two distinct halves across two production seasons, two cores, with a weighty break in between at points. So excuse me, some of those episodes are months old. You could easily transfer those onto DVDs and start selling them. But yeah, it's the full package because, listen, I've bought a couple animes piecemeal through volumes.
I don't like that.
That sucks for storage. It's a pain in the ass. I don't want to do it anymore. I don't care that they're more expensive. Just give me a couple or one singular, and this is only 22 episodes. It should fit on one singular collection of Blu-rays.
Man, I remember when I have to only get 3 or 4 episodes of fucking disc. You buy them individually for 52 episodes.
So I own all of Eureka 7, which is 50 episodes in single volume DVDs where there's 5 episodes per DVD.
Yeah.
I probably shouldn't have done it that way, but I did, so I have a lot of DVDs. I was much smarter with AO. I think that was that 2 seasons? I think it was 2 seasons, and that's on 2 Blu-ray sets.
Yeah, so that's why right now I'm not too concerned about buying volumes. I wait for a collection to come out, and I'm happy for that. All I got right now, the only two, I have 2, I have 4 Blu-rays. I have the special editions for Heaven's Feel 1 and 2 because art books and comes with OST. This is super fucking important to me, okay, guys? And then I have the Blu-rays of A Sister's All You Need and Everyday Life with Monster Girls. So, yeah, I go for Blu-ray collections. I'll be buying more.
Alright, so I've popped my mic out of the stand for the field. I'm looking in my cabinet. So, yeah, I have both volumes of FMA Brotherhood on Blu-ray, and I have both volumes of Eureka 7 AL on Blu-ray, and I have the first 2 Evangelion Rebuild Blu-rays.
Ooh, I should get those too.
Wait,
you don't have the third one?
No, I don't own the third one yet. I don't know if I've seen it. It was because it was so delayed. And, it was such an awkward it coming out. But yeah, so then they look way better in Blu-ray. But yeah, that's all the Blu-rays I own. Well, that's all the anime Blu-rays I own. I own a couple of, like, I got the first volume of Korra on Blu-ray. I really need to pick up the rest of those. Did they ever re-release original Avatar on Blu-ray?
They probably have. I don't see why they wouldn't have.
That would probably look pretty sweet in 1080p. Because that was just a while ago that it was like, what, 10 years? Yeah, fuck, I've done my mic backwards. Long way
around. Let's see here. Where is Avicbron? There you are.
I think, though, we've basically exhausted the show.
Oh, also, I didn't want to mention this. I forgot. Last thought about Avicbron. He's kind of fucking bro. Like, he's I'm liking him. I'm honestly liking him more than I thought I would. This is one of those cases of when you separate him from the first source material you see and get him some characterization, you might like him a lot better. That
is generally what people say about him and lots of FGO has a really great habit of redeeming dickhead caster characters. Like, I'm really waiting for when we get regular-ass Archimedes, because he'll probably be an okay guy.
I'm probably sure he's going to be like he was next to the where he...
Kind of shifty and a little bit short, but not like, I'm going to destroy the fucking world, bro.
Yeah.
Oh no, how have you defeated my perfect plan? I'm a genius. Blah.
No, how could the weakest one do the most? God, I love that.
And then he explodes, but not really, because he goes back to another timeline until you get the golden ending. And just keep fucking this shit up. Anyway, Excel's cool, kids. As Omega likes to say, it's actually relevant. You should buy and play it. Because actually, we talked about Age of Will, and, humans leaving their bodies behind. I'm wondering if that's not the future Extella and Extra is going for, because even though the Earth is dying in that, the main character is, phenomenal cosmic powers as a digital person.
Well,
and the epilogue of regular Extella is that regular humans and wizards start showing up in the moon cell again.
Well, if we follow science to its natural conclusion, I can honestly see something like that. As we move more and more towards digital solutions to that, I do think the apex of that would become digital ourselves and fully integrate with technology.
And when you're a giant space computer, that helps, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't do that anymore, Loth.
Where the heck are my... Shit, what were the other ones I was using? Oh, yeah. Whoosh. There you are.
But okay, I think it's time to round out the show.
I just realized that all my fucking... I just realized that all my characters start with A!
That's fair. That is the banner.
It's a banner. The A. Right there. Yeah, but lucky right now, I'm probably I'm taking a break. Like I said, I've gotten barely through, but I'm gonna work on. I did finish Void Shiki, but I'm probably gonna keep working so maybe I can get a my golem bro here.
Well, I did think while we were recording, it has passed 8, so I'm pretty sure we flipped over to casters AXPs. So I'm gonna go do that for a while because I've got 2 new casters.
Mm-hmm.
Though, fuck, I might have to stop. Anastasia probably needs new mats.
Oh, shit, you're right. I don't know what a Vikabron and a land.
Well, we'll do a PSA. We'll do a live thing right now. I'll go look at it. A Vikabron. What does he need for Ascension and skills? No, he's normal stuff.
Okay, cool.
He needs crystals, homunculi babies, some lamps, and some scarabs.
Fuck, maybe we should start giving that information when we talk about new servants and stuff.
Maybe. I've heard some people suggest it, but it's also really easy to look up. Yeah, fuck. For Anastasia's final ascension, she needs 12 permafrosts.
You'll definitely get some during the story, but I think I've only gotten 4 so far.
Yeah, we are not yet at the point where they give us free mats for main story clears.
Mm-hmm. Would you mind looking at Alter for me real quick?
Yeah. Alente Alter. I bet she's relatively normal too. You need seeds, some black beast grease, some spirit roots, and, well, I don't know. How many Lanagos do you have?
I might have some. I think I picked up some from him.
Because she needs 6 for her final ascension.
Yeah, I think I got that many.
And 6 total spirit roots.
I really like Anastasia's final art. Very nice. It's oh no, good art! My weakness!
She's just chilling with her spooky ghost hand friends.
Hey, I've seen worse.
Actually, this is a pretty interesting sprite progression. So her first sprite is Mantle. an ermine cape. Second sprite is fancier dress, but no mantle. Third sprite is the mantle returns, and also she gets a crowny thing, and also gets a spooky spirit buddy. Do you think is he in her sprites? No, he doesn't show up in the sprites, but she does get the full. So that's kind of the old, she does the reverse. She gets slightly more naked, but then gets more clothed for ultimate power. Yeah, that's very true, Loth. Stand-on name, V.
I guess that's...
With the power to shoot causality beams? Listen, I've done a lot of research on Anastasia. V's weird. I'm not sure what the fuck he's doing. He's got, mystic eyes that are kind of the mystic eyes of death, but not.
They actually kind of explain, Anastasia does explain a little bit of what
V
okay,
is. So she talks about her abilities in the story.
Yeah,
alright, maybe that'll clear some shit up, because reading, Matt's translations and profile translations, it's very sketchy. It's and sometimes V can see weaknesses in fortresses. I'm like, that's very specific. Is that all they do?
Yeah, V is seems, from what I understood, is a kit bash of actual several things.
Well, yeah, because I talked about this in the Anastasia Wanted. V is the name of a story by Russian horror writer Gogol about a demon with giant eyelids. Those aren't bunny ears, by the way. Those are its eyelids. They're that long.
Oh.
Which is, a source of primordial fear and, freezes a guy alive with fear or something. It's burning cold eyes just kill him because of how scary they are. But also, it takes inspiration from Russian fairy tales, because V is a modern fiction. So, he's called V, the entity in Fate, is called a fairy, a yosei, so I think he's supposed to be, an elemental, maybe a house or field fairy, but also is tied to this weird demon thing from modern horror fiction. It's really interesting. They did a lot of interesting kit bashes. Mystic Eyes of Penetration, interesting. That actually makes a lot more sense than Clairvoyance. Alright. Is that her first skill? Probably her first skill. Oh, it is. So, okay, I need to just actually use my Anastasia. Alright, Lucky Ghost a little bit at the end. Anyway, I'm gonna go get some dinner and level my Anastasia. So we're gonna do the outro. Though I should mention, it is about to be a new month, so we'll go ahead and lead off with, you can support us on Patreon, you get access to this early and download the audio format, including voting and get extras like voting in polls for Teaching Omega-Sensei. There will be a new one when the new month starts, so, well, we charge when you first sign up and per month, so maybe you want to wait until the new month actually kicks in. I know, I'm anti-shilling. I technically could get more of your money that way, but I'm not trying to be a dickhead, so maybe wait until the month actually rolls over, but if you get in there, you can get in the new poll, which will include, as I said mentioned earlier, yes, as I said mentioned, what is Magecraft, what is a Lostbelt, and what is a Divine Spirit? Those are all on our list now. And of course, if you have suggestions, you don't have to be a patron to suggest something, just to vote in the polls. So, keep it open, though. Remember, we try to focus on Fate-related lore. Omega really doesn't want to have to try to unpack what the fuck vampires are, because it really doesn't matter.
Oh my god.
I don't.
Vampires, the types.
Fucking vampire bullshit.
Bullshit.
I might have to talk about the ultimate one still. We don't know. But luckily, I can save that for a few years until it becomes relevant.
Yeah, as I said, is type marker in fucking South America? We don't fucking know.
Yee, but nee. Robin, that's the thing. Is Carmilla a vampire? Kind of. She's a novel vampire, though, not a Naziverse vampire, because those are very specific and weird. It's really weird. There are several characters with the vampirism ability in Fate, but they are not, strictly speaking, vampires. That's the thing.
Well, Carmilla and Vlad are specifically novel vampires based off of real people.
They're fictional vampires in a world that has real vampires. Medusa's Theno and Eurali just take blood as a form of tribute, basically, as a form of human sacrifice, almost.
Mm. Then we have fucking... Has anyone actually... Consort Yang, has anyone actually figured out what the fuck's going on with her?
No, I don't think they really... I think she just went to the Immortal Island and met a spooky space ghost, and now she has Space Ghost coast-to-coast powers.
Hey.
There's a lot more they could do with stuff. I could next time... Yeah, specifically, by the way, that's Consort Yang, not Consort Yu.
That's what I said.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I'm clarifying for the audience, because we brought up Consort Yu earlier.
Yeah.
Because the Team Tentacle, it's weird.
I am gonna lose my fucking wallet a couple years from now.
But, there's a lot of interesting stuff they could do. Maybe some other time I'll talk about my homebrew interpretation of Mina Harker. Which would probably be a little bit like our boy Vlad, who's he's not really Dracula, but because of human perception, he's kind of Dracula. Basically, a lot of people have remixed the Dracula story over the years. Anyway.
If I remember correctly, I think Dracula was actually partly based off of something else. I can't remember what, though.
Well, technically the novel Carmilla, which actually has very little to do with the character Carmilla, who's just, basically she's Emiya to Liz's Shiro. She takes the name after the novel character Carmilla because theoretically she may have inspired it, but the Carmilla novella is about sexy lesbian vampires before Dracula.
Yeah.
And that's by an Irish author. It's a really interesting read. Actually, this reminds me, we should maybe do more story times, because they're actually thematically appropriate. Do also let me know if you want us to do, like, in-episode story times back. I could do, like, a super expurgated version of the Epic of Gilgamesh. Or we could actually explain what the fuck Carmilla as a novella is about. So let us know if you have some thoughts.
Fuck, if we get Harker, though, I want fucking Hellsing.
Actually, isn't that one of the... Hellsing might be one of the Rio servants. Might be one of the Learning with Manga.
Oh, maybe.
I don't know if that's been confirmed.
Yeah. I think so.
Is it the Lancer one? The Vampire Slayer? Do that, please, for the love of God. There's so many of them. Give me more. Where's more Learning with Manga tie-ins?
Can I...
Give them to me. Grabby hands. Anyway, I'm trying to do the show outro. Robin, make sure to double back and mark that faff appropriately. I started to do the outro and then I stopped. And I'm doing it again.
Like, this is the maybe Van Helsing.
Yeah, that one. And there's also the dinosaur lady.
Mm-hmm.
This is a lot of fun stuff in Learning with Manga. Anyway, so, hey, if you watched this video on YouTube and you liked it, be sure to give it a like. If you have any comments, leave them in the comment section down below. You can also hit up our Discord. That link is on our channel page and in our description, as always. And, of course, if you're new here and haven't already, please subscribe to the channel so you can always get our latest videos. You know, from new podcast episodes to things like Wanted to other things we do. The Anastasia and Wanted one out now. It's actually doing okay. People like it. And various other things. And if you're already subscribed, don't forget to better that bell for notifications so you always know when we post a new video or when we stream. We do that. And so I will see y'all next time because I already did the bit about doing Patreon. And so, yeah, stay tuned for What's Up later. And for Let's Talk FGO in another week, we'll probably be talking about Lostbelt 1 more.
All right, lucky out. Blizzard Bomb!
Damn
Fuck,
it.
it's cold!
I was going to say that.